Our next broadcast was the brainchild of Jack Webb and may very well be the most well-remembered and best radio police drama series of all time. It ran from September in 1949 through February 1957 in 30-minute shows broadcast on NBC, and it brought to radio true police stories in a low-key documentary style. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Dragnet on HOJO Radio.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. You go to an apartment house and answer to a shooting and dead body call. Her husband tells you it's suicide. The facts show it to be murder. Your job? Find out. You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes.
You'll find they now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is a quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, March 9th. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 4:35 p.m. when we got to the first floor of the Kelsey Apartment Hotel. Apartment 112.
Hi, Joe. Ben.
Hi, Harry. How are you? What have you got here?
The woman's dead, shot through the right temple with a .45 automatic. Husband claims it's suicide.
What's the name?
Mr. and Mrs. Andrew Robertson. Wife's name was Marie. That's Mr. Robertson right over here.
Has a crime lab been called?
About 2 minutes ago.
Fine.
Mr. Robertson, this is Sergeant Romero, Sergeant Friday.
How do you do? How are you? Have you questioned Mr. Robertson?
No, not yet.
Mr. Robertson, you want to tell us what happened here?
I'd just gotten back from the corner grocery store. My wife and I had a little argument going. It started before I left for the store, and it was still on when I got back.
I see.
She was fixing chicken fried steaks for dinner, putting a flour on them. We had a few more words, and I went over and sat on the Davenport right where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
She was standing there in the doorway to the kitchen. She said something that set me off, and I guess I got pretty mad and said a few things. Then she went back over to that little nightstand there by the door to the kitchen.
That one right there?
Yeah, that's it. That's where I keep my Army automatic. She pulled it out of the drawer and backed up into the kitchen. She put the gun to her head and said, "This will put an end to the argument once and for all." I yelled at her and tried to stop her, but I was too late. She pulled the trigger and fell right there where she is.
What'd you do then?
I went upstairs to Ted Carlton's place. He lives in 212 right above us. We don't have a phone here. I asked him to call the police and send for an ambulance.
Did you go over to see how badly your wife was shot?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. The minute she fired, I rushed right over to her, but I was too late. She was dead.
Now, did you touch anything in here, move anything at all?
No, sir, not a thing. I've been sitting here ever since I got back down from Ted's room upstairs.
I see.
Joe?
Yeah.
Empty cartridge casing here on the floor.
Yeah. When Jones gets here, we'll measure the distance. Just a minute. We can put this saucer over till the crime lab gets here.
All right.
Riley. All right. Crime lab's here, Friday. Lee Jones.
Oh, hi, Lee.
Hello, Joe. Ben? Hi, Lee.
Fremont, would you mind taking Mr. Robertson downtown? We'll be right down as soon as we finish up here.
Right, Joe. See you later.
Thanks a lot, Harry.
Let's go. What do we got here?
Shot through the right temple. Husband claimed suicide.
Uh-huh. What's under the saucer?
Empty casing.
Looks like she was flouring meat, huh?
That's what the husband says, yeah.
It's probably what that is in the barrel of the automatic there.
Yeah, we noticed that.
Wastebasket's sure full, isn't it?
Yeah?
Right tempo, huh? 45 automatic.
Yeah.
If she shot herself in the kitchen, how do you figure the empty casing got out there in the living room? Position of the body doesn't warrant that. That'll be Ed McGill, the photographer.
Come in. Right in. All in?
All right, Ed. Well, what you want to shoot?
Why don't you get an overall of the room first and grab one in the kitchen there?
All right. You want to wait till I get that saucer off the casing, Ed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Now you want to move over there, love? Oh, yeah. Thanks.
All right.
Now, you want the kitchen?
Right from where you are now is good. We can get out of your way here.
Okay, this is fine.
Mm-hmm. Now right over the body. Better get that chair to stand up.
Oh, yeah, here you are. Not much room to work in here.
Can you get it all in there?
Yeah, I think so.
Use the wastebasket as your outside line here and kitchen sink on the other side.
Can't get the sink in. Will you settle for the wastebasket only?
Fine. Just use that as your right-hand sideline, huh?
All right. Okay.
So while you fellas finish up in here, we're going to run upstairs a minute late.
Okay, Joe.
Come on back.
Where do you want to go first, Dutel?
Well, that's this Ted Carlton Robertson mentioned, isn't it?
Yeah, the fellow who's supposed to have called in for him.
All right, yeah. Here it is, right at the head of the stairs.
Yes? Police officer. You're Mr. Carlton?
Yes, that's right. Come in.
Thank you very much.
This is an awful thing, isn't it?
Yes, sir. We understand that you're a friend of the Robertsons.
Yes, I am. Have you found out anything yet? You think Andy killed her?
We don't know. We haven't completed our investigation.
Oh, I see. I'll bet that's the way it was. I hate to say that, but from all indications, it certainly looks that way.
Mm-hmm. How do you mean?
The argument, the shouting, then that single shot. I don't know, but it sure struck me that Andy did it.
When did the argument start? Was it prolonged, do you know?
What do you mean?
When did it start? What time, you know?
This one today started about 3:30 when Andy got back from the store, but they've been arguing ever since I've known them.
How long have you known them?
About 2 years. Those two never should have gotten married to begin with, if I'm any judge.
Are you married?
No, sir, I'm not.
Wonder if you could tell us, did Mrs. Robertson ever say anything that would lead you to believe that she was in fear of her life?
Well, yes, she did. One time Andy stalked out of the apartment down there, and Marie came up here to see me. She was in tears, all broken up about it, as usual during these spats.
Oh, I see.
She said, I'll try to remember exactly how she put it. She said, Andy gets so mad sometimes I think he's going to kill me.
What did they usually argue about, do you know?
Oh, different things. This particular time that I was telling you about, I think it was over his being late for dinner.
Oh, I see.
Now, aside from this one instance, is there anything else that you can tell us?
Well, Andy has a terrible temper, that I know. We used to go out and bowl once in a while, Marie, Andy, and myself. We had to stop. Every time he'd miss a spare, you'd think it was the end of the world.
Would he usually seem to take it out on his wife?
Most of the time, yeah. Although I must say I caught it a few times myself. Abusive language. She really carried on over nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
Did Robertson leave his wife home alone much of the time?
No, not any more than usual. Seems like he always wanted to get home just so they could argue. Everybody in the apartment house knows about him.
So you said that Mrs. Robertson came up here after that one particular argument, is that right?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Well, did she come up here often?
No, not very often. Just when she was unusually upset and her nerves were on edge. But only then when Andy would rush out mad.
Well, do you know whether or not Robertson owns a gun?
Yes, I believe he does. As a matter of fact, I know he does. One night we were having trouble with prowlers, and he came up here with his automatic.
I see.
Later on, I think I asked him where he got the gun. He said from the Army.
Was there anything else you can add, Mr. Carlton?
I was the one who called the police. You knew that.
That's what we understand.
Didn't Randy tell you? He came up here right after the shot and asked me to call the police for him. They don't have a phone.
Well, exactly how did he tell you?
What do you mean?
Well, what were his exact words? Can you remember them?
Well, he said, my wife's shot. Call the police and get an ambulance quick.
And what was your reaction to this?
I'd heard the shot, so I wasn't too surprised. But when Andy came running up here, I knew before he said a word. You could tell just to look at him.
You could tell what?
That something was wrong. I had a hunch all along that this might happen someday.
What's that?
That Andy had killed his wife.
Ben and I continued questioning the various neighbors in the apartment building. Their stories all matched in every detail. The Robertsons had been known to argue, quite frequently and quite loud. None of the neighbors could definitely say that they had ever heard Andrew Robertson threaten his wife. All of them volunteered it would be entirely possible. We put in a call to R&I. We found that there was no previous record on Andrew Robertson nor his wife, Marie. Before Lee Jones had finished his investigation, latent fingerprint men had arrived, and the men from the coroner's office were standing by for removal of the body. We canvassed the neighborhood and checked with the various merchants in the area. They could shed no further light on the death of Marie Robertson. The coroner removed the body from apartment 112, and Lee Jones continued with his investigation. Ben and I returned downtown for further interrogation of the suspect.
Everything I've told you is the truth.
Would you mind going over it just once more?
All right. We had our quarrels and arguments, and I guess some of them were pretty bad, but I'd never do a thing like this to Marie.
Well, you don't seem very upset about all this, Robertson.
I'm not crying, if that's what you mean. I'm sorry she had to do it. Tried to stop her, but there was nothing I could do.
Well, you seem to be taking all this pretty well under the circumstances.
I don't know if I can explain how I feel about it. You see, Marie and I weren't too happy the past couple of years. We've been married 8 years, and I guess from the start we never could hit it off.
Did you used to argue quite a bit?
No, not at first we didn't. Just seemed that we've drifted apart the last couple of years. We seemed to fight all the time over nothing at all. I honestly believe we fell out of love.
Well, would you mind telling us again exactly what happened this afternoon?
First of all, I got up. I always like to sleep on Sundays. She asked me to go to the store. That started the argument. She knows I don't like to go shopping, but it seemed like she was always forgetting something, and I'd have to go.
Mm-hmm.
When I got back from the store, she was making chicken fried steaks for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
She was putting flour on the meat. We argued back and forth for a minute, and then she stepped into the living room. I went over and sat on the Davenport.
All right, go on.
We had a few more words, and she went over to the small nightstand by the kitchen door and took out my Army automatic that I kept in there. She backed up into the kitchen and pointed the gun at her head.
Here.
She said this will end the argument once and for all. As I said, I was on the Davenport about 12 feet away from her. I yelled at her.
What'd you say?
I said, Marie, put that gun down. It's loaded. Before I could reach her, she pulled the trigger.
Then what'd you do?
I rushed over to her, but it was too late. She was dead.
Mm-hmm. What happened then?
We don't have a phone, so I rushed upstairs to the apartment right over us, Ted Carlton's. I asked him to phone for the police and the ambulance.
Did you tell Carlton about your wife?
Yes, I did. I told him she'd been shot.
Then where'd you go?
So, just like I told you, out of the apartment, I went back downstairs and waited in the living room for you people to get there.
Did you go near your wife's body?
No, I did not.
Did you always keep that gun loaded?
Yes, I did. I always kept it loaded and actuated. The shell in the chamber, but I kept the safety lock on. Marie knew how to operate the gun because I showed her for when I was out late.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't strong enough to actuate it, but she could work the safety.
Did your wife ever try to commit suicide before?
Not to my knowledge.
Mr. Robertson, you sure that everything you've told us is the truth?
It's the absolute truth, every word of it.
Well, sir, here's the way it looks to us. We think you killed your wife.
I didn't.
Let us lay out a few things for you. We talked to your friends and neighbors in the apartment house. We have people who will testify to the fact that your wife was afraid that you might kill her. She told one man that.
It isn't true. I don't know what she may have told somebody, but I didn't kill her.
It's a known fact throughout the entire apartment building that you and your wife had violent quarrels. The kind of arguments, from all reports, that could easily lead to something like this.
I told you we argued, but I didn't kill Marie. I couldn't do a thing like that.
Mr. Robertson, we've made a preliminary investigation of your apartment. You say your wife killed herself. Let me show you some of the flaws in your story here.
All I can say is what I've told you is the truth. I didn't kill her.
Well, you told us that your wife went to the nightstand and got the gun.
That's right.
How did she pick up the automatic?
How do you mean?
Well, how'd she take it from the drawer?
Like anyone would pick up a gun? By the butt? She picked it up like anybody would who was going to use it.
You're sure about that?
Positive?
She didn't touch anything but the butt.
Well, she had part of her hand on the trigger.
Well, we know that, but she didn't touch any other part of the weapon.
She did not. She didn't have time.
Well, then how do you account for the fact that we found traces of flour on the barrel of the gun?
Well, sure, she was flouring meat.
Well, how did the flour get on the barrel?
I don't know.
Well, isn't it true that when you approached her with the automatic pointed at her, she tried to ward off the shot with her hand? Now, isn't that how the flour got on that barrel?
That isn't true.
Now, you said your wife was putting flour on some steaks.
That's right.
How do you account for the fact that we didn't find any flour on the butt of the gun where it belonged? Or on the drawer of the nightstand, where you say she first picked up the automatic?
Well, I can't answer that. I don't know what all this means.
Well, it means that unless you've got some kind of explanation, we have to assume that you're lying, that you killed your wife.
I don't know how to explain all these things, but I didn't kill her.
Mr. Robertson, you say you were an Army man. Isn't that what you told us out at the apartment?
Yes, I was a sergeant in the Army during the last war.
What outfit were you in?
I was an instructor in sidearm weapons at Santa Ana Army Air Base.
Then you'd be somewhat of an authority on the Colt .45 caliber automatic pistol, wouldn't you?
I guess I would, yeah. That was one of the weapons I instructed in.
You'd know all about the system of ejection employed by the Colt company on their .45 automatic.
Yes, I would.
The empty casing ejects to the right, up and back. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
In other words, if you were pointing a .45 at me and you pulled the trigger, the empty casing would eject to your right, up, and fall on the floor to the rear on your right side. Is that right?
Yeah, that's where it would end up.
You still maintain that your wife shot herself?
Yes, I do.
Where was she standing when she pulled the trigger?
As I told you before, in the kitchen.
How was she standing?
What do you mean?
Which way was she facing?
Well, let's see. Facing me. Yeah, that's right, in the kitchen with her back to the sink, facing out toward me.
And where were you?
On the Davenport in the living room, facing her.
Now, bearing in mind what we've already discussed and agreed upon concerning the ejection system of a .45, how do you account for the fact that the empty casing was found in the living room, 6 feet and 4 inches from the kitchen?
Well, let's see.
I'll figure it for you. The empty casing should have been found on the floor of the kitchen, somewhere to the right and rear of your wife. Isn't that about it?
I don't understand. Why are you trying to prove me guilty? I've told you, and I swear to you, I didn't kill my wife.
Well, it'd be a physical impossibility for that empty casing to have landed anywhere but in the kitchen if your wife had pulled the trigger of that automatic. Now, how about that?
What can I say? Please believe what I'm telling you. I didn't do it.
Not according to the evidence.
I don't understand any of this.
Well, here's the way we've got it reconstructed. You had a quarrel. You got the gun. You met your wife at the doorway to the kitchen. You pointed the gun at her. She tried to ward it off with her left hand, leaving flour on the barrel of the gun. You fired, and the casing was thrown up and back to the right, where it landed on the rug of the living room.
The testimony of the neighbors, the flour in your wife's hand, the position of the empty casing. Robertson, you're it.
I don't know why all these things are the way you say they are.
Well, we do. We don't believe your wife committed suicide. You think about it. Come on, Ben.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
Evidence we've got so far has got him tabbed.
Yeah. With all that proof, he still refuses to cop out.
Something doesn't jibe.
Maybe we can find out why.
You are listening to Dragnet. From beginning to end, Dragnet is the authentic story of your police force in action.
Now, from beginning to end, the Fatima story. Actual convincing proof that in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes, rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package, carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, more long cigarette smokers are now insisting on Fatima than ever before.
So if you smoke a long cigarette, compare Fatima. You'll find they now cost the same. But your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Insist on Fatima. Start enjoying the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima. Best of all, long cigarettes.
We had Gene Bechtel take Andrew Robertson's statement. We had his testimony that his wife had committed suicide, a fact that he couldn't prove and that we could disprove. We had before us the final investigation. All evidence was taken to the crime lab for analysis. The photographs taken at the scene were developed and brought in for careful checking. In accordance with Robertson's story, both he and his deceased wife were given paraffin tests to determine the presence of nitrates. Both of them were fingerprinted, and latent prints detail started to check them out. 2 teams of men were sent out to talk with the close relatives of the 2 people. Sunday, March 9th, 7 p.m. We got a call from Lieutenant Lee Jones that he had the final results of his investigation. We went over to the 2nd floor of the Central Station crime lab.
Got a couple of things for you.
Okay.
How'd you make out with Robertson?
Well, he insisted it was suicide. What's your ID on it?
Let me show you what we got.
All right.
Yeah, look at this.
A picture of the 45 casing.
That's right. Take a close look at it. Right here in particular. Yeah. You notice this one edge is a little crimped here?
Yeah, ejector marks.
No, here are your ejector marks up here, see? This crimping is something entirely different.
What is it?
You remember where you found this casing?
6 feet 4 inches into the living room.
That's right.
And we wondered how it could have been thrown that far by the ejector if the husband's story's true.
The ejector didn't do that. I wondered, too. On closer inspection, I noticed this crimping. Let me show you how this casing got out there in the living room. Here's an identical 45 caliber Colt empty casing.
Yeah.
We'll place it here on the floor on a piece of carpeting, the same thickness that was in their kitchen. Linoleum. Now watch this. I'll step on it, hitting it from an angle. There's your answer to that. When the husband ran over to his wife's side, what did he say he did?
That's about the size of it.
He stepped on the casing accidentally and certainly not caring about it at that moment. It bounced out into the living room just like a tiddlywink. Here. Notice the casing now, the crimping. Check it against the photo.
Looks exactly the same way. It matches.
Did the flower on the barrel of the gun, it was flour, by the way, did it figure in for you fellas?
Well, yeah, we figured the wife was trying to ward off the gun when he pointed it at her.
Well, certainly the logical deduction. Let me show you how it really got on there. Here's that shot of the kitchen out there.
Yeah.
Notice the wastebasket here? It's pretty full, isn't it?
Yeah, we noticed that when we were out there.
What you probably didn't notice is this. Now, here's a blow-up of just that section where the wastebasket was. Can you see what's on the top of the stuff in the basket there?
Yeah, can you hold it over here, leave little lights in. Yeah, it looks like a flour sack.
That's right, an empty flour sack. Now, figuring the position of the body in relation to that wastebasket, when she dropped the gun, it fell from her hand, striking the wastebasket, bouncing off, and landing on the floor where you found it.
You said when she dropped the gun, you figured it was suicide?
It's beginning to shape up that way, isn't it?
There was no flour found on the butt of the gun.
That part of the automatic didn't come in contact with the flour sack.
Yeah, but at least she was flouring meat.
There were no traces of it on her right hand, on the palm, just on the back. In checking the clothing, we found streaks of flour where she could have wiped her hands clean before picking up the gun.
Yeah, and out there we could only see the backs of her hand. The coroner checked that through, huh? It doesn't look like he killed her.
There's more here. As you know, we ran paraffin tests on both the victim and Robertson.
Yeah.
Here's the results of the test.
See. Andrew Robertson, known nitrates negative. Marie Robertson, evidence of nitrates positive.
She fired a gun, he didn't, huh?
That's it. There's something else. Here's the report from latent prints. Smudges. One good thumbprint, right hand, belonging to Marie Robertson, indicating she was the last one to handle a weapon.
Well, that's about it, Lee?
No, that's more for you. Now, this shot was taken facing the east wall of the kitchen. That's the wall that would be on anyone's left, sitting on the Davenport in the front room.
That's right.
Wouldn't be possible to see that wall from the Davenport.
No, it wouldn't, that's right.
You can see the white X where we located the slug.
Yeah.
Relative to the position of the body, if she was standing, holding the gun at approximately a right angle with the side of her head, the bullet would come to rest approximately 4 inches below the crown of her head.
Did it check out?
The coroner says she was 5'4". The bullet was found at a height of 5 1/8, proving that she shot herself rather than anyone else doing it, judging from the inclination of the bullet. As you know, this is critical.
Yeah.
From what it's worth, the condition of the wound indicates that it was inflicted from extreme close range. Fair point when you consider that most people wouldn't submit to being shot from close range without a struggle or unless taken by surprise.
And from all reports, we know she wasn't taken by surprise.
Well, that's it, fellas. That's all we have.
Well, thanks, Lee. It's sure enough.
Crime Lab, Jones. Yeah, right here. Just a minute. Either one of you.
All right, Lee, I'll get it. Huh? Thank you. Friday. Oh, hi, Harry. You did, huh? What's that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you have the letter with you? It does, huh? Yeah? Yeah, right, Harry. Thank you very much. Bye. Harry Fremont. He just left Marie Robertson's mother.
What'd she have to say?
Well, Fremont says she gave him a letter. He's on his way in with it now. It was written by Marie Robertson. It says something about taking her own life. Her mother says that the husband couldn't have done it. Says the daughter's shown indication in the past of wanting to take her own life.
Well, not about things, is it?
Makes you feel kind of good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Find a man clear on a charge instead of having to hang him up.
Come on, Ben.
Right.
Where you headed?
Back cross street.
Wait till I get my coat. I'll go with you.
What for?
I want to see him, too, when you tell him.
The story you've just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 12th, the hearing was held in the office of the coroner, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that hearing.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, a great many listeners have written us saying that they first bought Fatimas because they liked our program. But they go on to say that after smoking their first pack, they agree with everything that we've said about them. That Fatimas are extra mild. That they do have a better flavor and aroma. Well, naturally, we're pleased when you get acquainted with Fatimas because all of us on Dragnet are convinced Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. When you buy your first pack, I'm sure you'll agree. In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Andrew William Robertson was immediately released from custody. A 510 form was made out, exonerating him from any complicity in the death of his wife.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James M. Fox, President of the Southern California chapter of the Mystery Writers of America.
The Edgar Allan Poe Awards of the Mystery Writers of America are made each year for outstanding contributions in the field of mystery. This year, by a nationwide vote of 300 professional mystery writers, the radio award goes to Dragnet for consistent excellence in the use of the medium in the best traditions of our craft. The Mystery Writers of America are happy to present their Edgars, statuettes of Poe, to Dragnet's Jim Moser, who writes the scripts, and a duplicate statuette to Dragnet. Congratulations, Mr. Moser.
Thank you, Mr. Fox.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over many NBC stations.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. More classic old-time radio coming your way next.
Cigarettes is proud to present its Academy Award-winning radio program. The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A young mother is murdered in bed while her 7-year-old son sleeps by her side. The killer was vicious and cunning. Your job? Get him. You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
The size is the same. They now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. They're extra mild, with a better flavor and aroma. Smoke Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, July 9th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of Homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 11:25 p.m. when we got to 543 West Bixel Street. Front door.
Homicide?
That's right. This is Friday. My name's Romero.
Klein, Unit 69.
How are you?
Partner's Thomas. He's in with the victim's mother and son. Back this way, sleeping porch.
Okay.
What's the story?
Yeah, really a nasty mess. Looks like a shotgun. Victim's face is half gone.
What's the name?
Josephine Stevens, 28 years old.
What do you got so far?
Not much. Her mother's in a state of shock. Talked to the young boy for a minute. Pretty terrible. Here's his sleeping porch.
Dear God.
Yeah. You got a little kid by her side. It knocks the props out from under you.
What do you got on it?
Seems Josephine Stevens and her 7-year-old boy was sleeping in the bed when it happened. Haven't been able to fill it all out yet, but from what the youngster told us, it happened about 30 minutes ago.
I'd say it was a shotgun, too, wouldn't you, Joe?
Yeah, looks like it.
You can see by the head of the bed here. It looks like shotgun pellets.
Yeah.
The screen in the door here looks like it was recently torn.
Yeah, Thomas and I noticed that, too. We made an immediate search of the area. Didn't turn up anybody. Backyard, around the side, shrubbery. Didn't find anything.
Yeah?
We were careful not to step off onto the soft earth anywhere around. Didn't want a chance destroying any prints or anything.
That's fine.
Did you talk to the girl's mother at all, Klein?
Very little. She's still hysterical. Doesn't seem to know what she's saying. Couldn't tell us very much.
Yeah, well, let's step into the next room, huh?
Room's just the way we found it. Nothing out of order. Dresser drawers are all closed. Room hadn't been prowled.
Doesn't look like the work of a burglar or a prowler.
Well, a burglar or prowler wouldn't be carrying a shotgun either, would he?
The only thing Thomas and I found were they cut in the screen, the gate around the side of the house there. It's open.
Crime lab been called?
Haven't had time to do it right now.
No, never mind. I'll take care of it. I want to call in anyway. Do they have a phone here?
They're right in the kitchen there on that table.
Okay, thank you. I figure we could use some help, don't you?
Yeah. They're right there, you left.
Yeah, I see it. Thank you.
City Hall.
2643, please.
2643?
Crime lab, Alan.
This is Friday, Jay.
Yeah, Joe.
We're at 543 West Bixel. Got a homicide. We're going to need prints, photographs, the whole deal, Jay. Looks like the woman was killed with a shotgun.
Let me double check that address, Joe. 543 West Bixel.
Yeah, that's right.
You got a phone out there?
Yeah, it's Hollywood 93199.
We'll get right on it, Joe.
Thanks. Say, Jay, could you transfer me to 2521, please?
Right.
Operator?
2521.
2521?
Homicide, Sanchez.
Sanchez, this Friday.
What'd you find out there?
Well, it's a bad one. Shotgun killing. Haven't got too much yet. We're going to have some help.
What do you need?
We need somebody to cover the area. We don't know what we got yet. Talk to the witnesses, neighbors, cover the parked cars.
Right.
Will you send out a broadcast for us? Alert all units to be on the lookout for a person or persons with a shotgun in their possession.
Take care of it right away. How many many men you think you need?
Well, at least 4 crews. Could you get them out right away?
Okay, anything else?
No, I'll fill them in when they get here. Thanks a lot, Sanchez.
Right, Joe.
All right, bye.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Klein says we could talk to the youngster.
You don't think it'd do any good to talk to Mother, huh?
She's still in bad shape. Imagine she'll be all right in a little while, but I think you just wasted time right now.
Well, I forgot something.
What's that?
I forgot to call the coroner.
I'll take care of it for you.
Well, would you take the boy into the front part of the house for us?
Sure.
Fine. And then if you'll just call Sanchez down on Homicide downtown, he'll notify the coroner for us.
Right.
Thanks a lot.
Joe, you want to see something break your heart?
Yeah, what's that?
There's some blood on the floor there, leading from the sleeping porch to this bedroom here.
Yeah. Look like small footprints, huh?
They are. Little boys.
Well, let's go in the front room.
Yeah.
This is a boy, 7 years old, name's Charles.
Right. Thanks, Corey.
I'll make that call for you right away, Friday.
Hello, son.
What happened to my mommy?
I'm sorry. You better take it, Joe.
Yeah. Come over here to me, son. Charles, is that your name?
Charlie.
Well, my name's Joe, Charlie.
Yes, sir. Mr. Joe?
Well, it's Joe Friday, son.
Mr. Friday. Are you a policeman?
Yeah, that's right, Charlie. Now, that other man in the uniform, Officer Klein,
Yes, sir.
he said you might be able to tell us what happened here. Do you feel like talking about it, son?
Mr. Friday, do you know what happened to my mommy?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out, son. We'd just like to ask you a few questions.
She's hurt bad, isn't she? Did she talk to you? She wouldn't talk to me. Grandma and those other policemen wouldn't let me stay in there.
Well, can you tell us what happened here?
You want me to tell you like I told the other policemen?
If you would, please.
I wish you'd let me go in and see Mommy. She could tell you a lot better than I can.
Well, she's hurt kind of bad, son. We just thought that maybe you'd tell us.
Well, we were sleeping in the bed on the back porch.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to bed, and Mommy was reading me a story. And I heard this man at the screen door.
Did you see the man, Charlie?
No, I didn't. Mommy wouldn't let me.
Well, how do you mean, son? How do you know it was a man, then?
Somebody was cutting the screen at the door. I thought it was a man.
But you're not sure you didn't see him?
No, sir, I didn't see anybody. It's dark outside.
You heard somebody cutting the screen, though, is that right?
Yes, sir. Then Mommy sat up in bed. I started to sit up, too, but she wouldn't let me. She pushed me back down and said, keep down.
Mm-hmm. Can you remember exactly what she said, Charlie?
She said just to keep down. That's all she said.
Well, then what happened?
I heard this big gun, and Mommy fell down on the bed again. I could tell she was cut. I could see blood all over her.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to talk to her, but she wouldn't talk to me. So then I went to get Grandma.
Now, after you heard the gun, did you hear anything else?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, did you hear anybody running outside the house? Anything like that?
I don't remember. I don't think so. I got up and went into Grandma's room. I was awful scared. I don't know why Mommy wouldn't talk to me. She always used to when I was scared.
Well, now, can you think of anything else that you might be able to tell us, son?
No, sir. I just don't know why anybody would hurt my Mommy. She's so good. She never hurts anybody.
Where's your father, Charlie?
I don't know where he is. They don't live together anymore now.
Mm-hmm. How long has it been since you saw your father, son?
Just last Sunday it was. Yesterday, I guess. I see him every Sunday.
Well, do you have any idea who might want to hurt your mother?
No, sir. Nobody.
All right. What do you think, Ben?
Charlie,
Yes, sir?
did your mother and father seem to argue with one another very much?
Before we moved here to Grandma's house, they used to argue all the time. That's when we lived in the apartment.
Is that why you moved over here, son?
Yes, sir, that's partly it. Mama had to work, and she didn't want to leave me alone here, so we moved over to Grandma's house.
Mm-hmm. Do you think your father would ever hurt your mother? Did he ever say anything about ever hurting her?
My daddy was always so good to me. He used to buy me all kinds of things. I don't think he was ever mean to anybody.
See? Do you remember your mother ever saying she was afraid of anybody?
No, sir. She was never afraid of anybody.
How do you know that, son?
She and Grandma used to always tell me that I'm the man of the family. As long as I'm around, they're not scared of anybody.
Oh, I see.
But when you talk to Mama, you won't tell her, will you?
Tell her what, son?
She always says that big men don't cry about things. When Grandma came out on the porch, she started to cry, and she took me into her room, and she cried some more. I guess I cried a lot, too. When you talk to Mommy, you won't tell her that, will you?
No, we won't.
I've never really known. Is that right? Do big men ever cry?
Yes, son. They cry.
11:45 p.m. The crime lab men arrived and went to work. They found 3 shotgun pellets embedded in the wall to the right and above the head of the victim's bed. 2 additional lead pellets were removed from the bedstead above the pillow on the right side of Josephine Stevens' bed. This fact, in conjunction with the position of the hole ripped in the screen door, proved that the victim was sitting up in bed at the time of the shooting. This fact, too, showed why the 7-year-old boy lived and his mother died. Further investigation showed that the fatal shot was fired from outside through the hole in the screen door. The search of the surrounding area failed to yield the murder weapon or any additional physical evidence. The neighbors were all checked. They could add nothing to what we already knew. The few who had heard the blast from the shotgun thought it was backfire from a passing car. Units in the area of the murder picked up 14 possible suspects on the street and in the neighborhood at the time of the killing. They were all checked out and cleared of any connection with the crime. Josephine Stevens' mother, Mrs. James Edwards, was in a near state of collapse, but she managed to give us a statement. Her story corroborated that of 7-year-old Charles Stevens. Supplemental broadcasts and an all-points bulletin were put out to try and locate the killer. Ben and I drove over to 1543 East Workman Street to check out the husband of the murdered woman. Well, this is it, huh?
Yeah, White House here.
All right, let's go.
Car parked in the driveway.
Yeah. The hood's warm. Car's been used recently.
Yeah, you got your flashlight?
Yeah, here.
All right. The car's registered to Keith Stevens.
Yeah, come on. Lights are on inside, huh?
Yeah.
Yes?
Mr. Keith Stevens?
Yes, that's right.
Police officers like to talk to you.
Want to come in?
Yes, sir, thank you.
What's the trouble, officer?
When's the last time you saw your wife, Stevens?
Why?
Well, when did you see her last?
Well, I was over there Sunday, yesterday. I always go over every Sunday to visit my little boy, Charlie. My wife and I are separated. That's what we agreed on.
And that's the last time that you saw her?
Yes, it is. Why?
Well, I'm sorry to have to tell you this. Your wife is dead.
What's that?
I'm sorry.
You're kidding. She was all right yesterday. There must be some mistake here.
No, sir, I'm afraid not.
Josephine Stevens. You sure?
543 West Bexel Street.
I gotta sit down. What happened?
She was shot.
Well, how? I can't believe this.
Well, we're working on it now. Somebody shot her while she was in bed.
I just saw her yesterday. How did it happen? Was it an accident?
No, sir. Somebody killed her.
How about little Charlie? He sleeps with his mother. Is Charlie all right?
Yes, sir. He's fine. He wasn't hurt at all. It was a small miracle how he came out of it, but apparently his safety was the last thing your wife thought of before she was killed.
It's just terrible. I still can't believe what you're saying is true. Who in the world would do a thing like this?
We want to know that, too. We need your help.
Well, where's my boy? I better go right over and see my boy.
He's in good hands with his grandmother. We just want to ask you a few questions, and then you can go right over and see him.
All right. You gotta get whoever did this terrible thing.
Yes, sir. We're going to try.
Well, how is it that you happen to be up this late at night?
I just got home from work. I work the swing shift at Gibney's.
That's the steel mill down in Alameda, is it?
Yes, that's right.
Did you work today?
Yes, I told you. I just this minute got in.
Swing shift. What hours would that be?
4 to 12.
Did you work the full shift today?
I did. You don't think I would have done this thing?
Well, we have to check everybody.
Is there somebody out at the plant that can verify the fact that you were out there during the entire shift today?
Yes, my lead man and I always punch my time card in and out.
How do you get to work?
I drive. My car's right outside there, blue Chevy.
Do you own any firearms?
No, I don't.
You ever owned any?
No, I never have. Didn't want to gun around with a boy.
I see.
You live here alone?
No, since the wife and I split up, I live with another fella here.
Mm-hmm. Where is he tonight?
He's out somewhere, usually home when I get here.
Do you have any idea where he might be? Does he go out much?
He goes out quite a bit. He's going with some girl. Might be at a movie or something like that.
Does he know your wife?
Well, not too well, no. I think I took him over to the house one Sunday. He met my son Charlie and my wife.
Try to take it easy, Mr. Stevens.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's kind of hard to take.
Yes, sir, we understand.
This man that you live with here, what's his name?
Carl Walters.
Where'd you know him from?
He advertised in the papers. He said he wanted somebody to share a small house with him. I answered the ad, and we seemed to hit it right off from the start. He's okay.
What do you know about it?
I know enough to know he's all right. I wouldn't want to get him mixed up in this.
Well, has this Walters ever been in trouble? Has he ever been arrested?
Not that I know of. He's a good guy. Fine Army record.
I see. Have you ever been arrested?
No, sir, I never have.
Any kind of an arrest, misdemeanor, anything like that?
Never.
You never been in jail for any reason?
No, sir, never have. I had traffic tickets, but I've never been in jail for any reason. I always paid my fines, never had any trouble.
Have you any idea who might want to do a thing like this?
No, no one. How did it happen? Did they break in the house?
No, it wasn't burglary or anything like that. Somebody just wanted to do away with your wife. If you can think of anybody who might do a thing like this, it'd help.
You know, we've been separated for a while. Maybe she took up with someone who'd do something like this. I wouldn't know. I can't think of anybody I know that'd do this.
I see.
She and I have had our ups and downs, yet we wouldn't be apart. We've argued time and again over the custody of Charlie, but nothing serious. Can't tell you what a shock this is to me.
You say that you don't own a gun. Do you know of any of your friends or hers that might?
No, I can't think of anybody.
This fellow Carl Walters, what can you tell us about him?
No, please, he's all right. He certainly had nothing to do with this.
Well, we just want to be sure to check everybody out. If you can tell us, it may save him some embarrassment.
Well, I realize you have to be sure, but please believe me, he's all right.
You say he doesn't know your wife at all?
No, just that one meeting.
You're sure he couldn't have had any part in it?
Absolutely sure.
What kind of a fellow is he?
Oh, average guy, I guess. Likes to swim, plays a little golf. Always wants me to go out camping or hunting with him.
Do you ever go with him?
No, I haven't so far. He wants to go on weekends, and I like to see my son on Sundays, like I said.
What does he hunt, do you know?
He's not much of a hunter, really. He just likes to go out for ducks once in a while.
Does he keep his equipment here?
No, he doesn't, over at his father's house.
Does he ever hunt for anything besides ducks?
No, I'm positive about that. He's always saying how he never could shoot a deer, says he gets buck fever. Can't say I blame him.
He ever tell you what kind of a gun he had?
No, not that I recall. Still think he had a part in this?
We didn't say that.
What's his duck hunting got to do with it?
Well, when you hunt ducks, you use a shotgun.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic cases from official police files. And now, let's look at our Fatima files, listed under K.
Kelly, Nancy Kelly, famous actress. She says,
Between scenes, I like to relax in my dressing room and light up a Fatima. They have a really different flavor, and they're extra mild.
Friends, more smokers now insist on king-size Fatimas than ever before, because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild, superbly blended, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package, carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So, if you smoke a king-size cigarette, compare Fatima.
You'll find they now cost the same, but your first puff will tell you,
Ah, that's different.
yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. Smoke the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
Tuesday morning, July 10th, 1 a.m. We continued to question Keith Stevens about the murder of his wife. He could add very little to what he'd already told us. We made a thorough search of his house and garage. We searched his car. We found nothing that would incriminate him in any way. 1:37 a.m. Carl Walters, the man who Keith Stevens lived with, returned home. We retraced his steps for the night of July 9th. All his time was accurately accounted for. We talked with his father. We were told that the shotgun had not been used for about 10 months, since last duck season. We looked at the gun and noticed that it was covered with lint and had not been recently fired. We talked to the plant foreman at Gibney Steel Mill. He verified the fact that Keith Stevens worked his full shift on July 9th and did not leave his job until 12 midnight. At this point, both men were clear of any complicity in the murder of Josephine Stevens. Tuesday, July 10th, 8 a.m. We made the usual routine check of R&I of the 4 people involved in the case so far. Josephine Stevens, the murdered woman, her mother, Mrs. James Edwards, The husband, Keith Stevens, and his friend, Carl Walters.
Here it is, Joe. One package.
Nothing on Josephine Stevens or Miss Edwards.
That's right. And Carl Walters is clean. He kind of makes a liar out of the husband, Keith Stevens. It's his package.
Yeah, he forgot.
Let's see. Keith Stevens. Here's the arrest report, one only.
Let's see. 4127A.
Yeah, picked up on drunk charge. He didn't forget, Joe. This was on June 7th, last.
Yeah, let me look at that, Officer Stevens. Let's see. Above suspect was picked up in the company of co-defendant Michael Duff, booking number 8023. Both suspects were drunk and disorderly at the time of arrest. Their condition was such they were unable to care for themselves. No, he didn't forget.
Hey, Mary.
Yes, sir?
Pull this package for us, will you, please? Booking number 8023. Give us a mug if he's got one, huh?
What was that arrest date?
June 7th, 51.
Thank you.
Well, it's an outside chance.
He lied once, maybe lie again.
I suppose he was trying to prove by not telling us about this.
Oh.
Here you are.
Oh, thank you, Mary.
That's a little bigger package, huh?
Yeah. Look, his R card. He's done time in Quentin.
Yeah. 1933, Grand Theft Auto. Did 4.5 years, paroled out in 37. Here he is, back in again on suspicion of robbery. 1946, charge released. Picked up again, suspicion of robbery, released again.
Michael Lewis Duff, alias Mickey Duff. Stevens is moving in pretty fast company.
Yeah. Look here, this is the guy, all right. Here's that last drunk arrest. See on that we saw in Stevens, June 7th?
Yeah, Is there a mug there, Joe?
Let's see. Well, there's this one on that 211 arrest in 47.
Yeah, I see that one. It's pretty old, though. It's a little worn. Kind of hard to see.
So check that last arrest report on the drunk charge. Maybe we got one of those auto photo strips. That ought to do it.
I hope so.
Yeah, here we are.
Let's see. Yeah, those auto photos are good mugs, aren't they?
Yeah.
What address did he give on that last arrest?
5234 West Main. No, all these other addresses are just transient hotels. That Main Street address, the most recent, looks like the best bet.
This is probably why Stevens lied about being arrested.
Yeah, let's see if he lied about anything else. We drove over to 5234 West Main Street. It was a small two-story rooming house. We checked with the landlady, and she told us that she had a man registered under the name of Michael Duff in room 20. She told us that he had just walked out a few minutes before we arrived, saying he was going down to the corner to buy a newspaper. We identified ourselves and stated that we'd wait in his room for him. We asked her not to tell him. She went upstairs with us and unlocked the door to room 20. We made a thorough search of his place. It was a two-room apartment. I searched the living room, and Ben went over the kitchen.
Joe, come here.
Yeah.
Look here. Look, I'm up under the sink here, cradled in the gooseneck of the drain.
Yeah, shotgun.
Yeah. Just a minute. It's been fired recently.
Yeah.
And this much fits in.
These don't. Found him in the pocket of one of his coats in the closet there.
12-gauge shotgun shells. Where'd you find him?
In the pocket of a dress suit? Well, it doesn't fit, does it?
Not unless he's the best-dressed hunter in town.
Sounds like he's back.
Yeah. Get your hand out of that pocket, police officers.
What's going on?
Keep your hands out and open. Stand still. Here, Joe. You want to take this?
Yeah. What are you doing carrying a gun, Duff?
Anything wrong?
You know better than that. What'd they tell you when they paroled you?
That was a long time ago.
They haven't changed the rules.
I don't know what you're doing here in the first place.
Go on over there and sit down.
All right, if that's what you want.
That's what we want. Move.
Now, do you want to tell us about it?
About the gun?
About both of them. The shotgun here on the table and this one I got in my hand.
Well, you found that old shotgun, huh?
We found it.
I haven't used that old thing for years. Just kept it as a keepsake. Haven't fired it for a long time. Don't even have any shells for it anymore.
Except these two, huh?
I don't know where those came from.
Look, Duff, you're an ex-convict. We find 2 guns in your possession. Now let's don't play games. Tell us about it.
I haven't got anything to tell you. I would if I did.
I just had a long talk with Keith Stevens.
What'd he have to say?
Never mind what he had to say. Let's hear your side of it.
You wouldn't try to kid me, would you?
Now, you listen, fella. We just came from a house over on Bixel Street. There's a woman lying in bed over there that took a blast from a sawed-off shotgun. You own a shotgun. It's been recently fired. You lied. You said you hadn't fired it. You said you didn't have any shells for it. Well, here they are. Now, look, they fit, don't they? Take a good look at it, mister. There's only one thing missing. Who pulled the trigger?
Let's have it, Duff.
Did Stevens tell you?
We'll ask the questions. Now, come on.
All right. I did it, but I did it for Stevens. Told me he'd give me $1,000 if I'd kill his wife for him. I haven't been paid yet. I'm still waiting to get paid off.
You won't have to wait any longer.
We took Michael Duff downtown together with a murder weapon. He gave us a full confession stating that Keith Stevens had offered to pay him $1,000 for the murder of his wife. He said that he and Stevens had planned it together. 1:30 p.m., Tuesday, July 10th. We drove out to pick up Keith Stevens.
What else could I do?
Is that how you justify the murder of your wife?
It was her fault. She'd have just tried to be reasonable. It never would have happened.
People settle these kind of problems every day, and they don't use a shotgun.
You wouldn't understand. Unless you got a son, you'd never really understand why I did it.
I've got a son. I don't understand.
And you don't love him like I do. Couldn't stand the thought of never seeing him, having her take him away from me.
And that's the way you want us to put it down. That you didn't want your child taken away from you, so you killed his mother.
Not exactly. She was going to take him away. She wanted him to forget all about me. She wanted him all for herself.
Did your wife tell you all this?
Well, no, of course not. Any fool could see that's what she had in mind.
You mean just because of some argument that you and your wife had, you just assumed all this to be so?
Sure. I knew she'd never give me a break with Charlie. Isn't that what always happens?
And you never asked her how she felt? Never thought that you could stand on your legal rights? Never knew that what you're trying to make us believe seldom happens unless there's a good reason for it?
Wasn't going to let her take my son away from me. Nobody could do that.
Yes, sir, you're right. You lost him yourself.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 15th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 84, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here's our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, I'd like you to be the judge while I present our case for Fatima. Now, you've heard me say that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. Get a pack of Fatimas and compare them with any other long cigarette. Side by side, I'll admit a Fatima looks the same as any other king-size cigarette. But when you smoke them, you'll find a world of difference. In Fatima, that difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness, a much better flavor and aroma. Compare Fatima, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Keith Edward Stevens was convicted of murder in the first degree and received a life sentence. He is now serving his time in the state penitentiary. Michael Lewis Duff was convicted of first-degree murder and received the death sentence. He was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the state penitentiary.
Dragnet wishes to thank Sheriff Brian Clemens of the parish of East Baton Rouge, state of Louisiana, for the appointment of Sergeant Joe Friday and Sergeant Ben Romero as honorary deputy sheriffs. Our sincere thanks to Sheriff Clemens.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles. Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over most NBC stations.
The origins of Dragnet can be traced to a semi-documentary film, He Walked by Night, in 1948, in which Jack Webb had a small role. Both employed the same Los Angeles Police Department technical advisor. They used actual police cases and presented the case in a just-the-facts manner that became the hallmark of Dragnet. It's interesting to note that Jack Webb employed that format in other radio series, some predating the film mentioned above. And now, more Dragnet on HOJO Radio.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to forgery detail. A United States Postal Inspector comes to your office. You've received the same complaints he has. Somebody is stealing mail in your city. Your job? Help get him.
Friends, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette. You'll find a world of difference. Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties. Extra mild. Superbly blended. To give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package, carefully wrapped and sealed, to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So compare Fatima yourself today.
You'll find Fatima's now cost the same as other long cigarettes. But your first puff will tell you,
Ah, that's different.
yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, March 3rd. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Forgery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Harry Elliott. My name's Friday. It was 7:45 a.m. I got to room 29. Forgery detail.
Morning, Joe.
Hi, Ben. Sure coming down out there.
Yeah?
Look at this coat. It's soaking wet.
Is that the same trench coat, that English one?
Yeah. Ever since I had it cleaned, it seems to soak up the water a little more.
Does it leak?
Oh, no. It just seems to take on a little more water. Keeps me dry.
Got something to show you, Joe.
Yeah?
Remember that old raincoat of mine used to leak up through the seams over the shoulder?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Take a look at this.
What do you got there?
Pretty neat, huh?
Well, yeah, what is it?
A new raincoat.
Hmm.
Never know, would you? It's small, compact, the whole thing's hardly any bigger than a pack of cigarettes. Not bad, huh?
Yeah. Where'd you get it?
Wife bought it for me. Amy says it's regular full-size raincoat, size 40 long.
Amy says. So didn't you try it on?
Oh, no, you know how they make something like this. It's made out of plastic. Size isn't too important.
Mm-hmm.
Just a plain coat. Slips right on over your suit, just like any other raincoat. I know it'll fit.
You haven't worn it yet, huh?
No, it hadn't started to rain when I left home.
Mm-hmm. Could I see that?
Sure. Real compact, isn't it? Now, something like this is really practical.
Yeah, huh?
Little packages like that, you carry it around with you all the time. Never take up any room at all.
Yeah. What's it look like?
Just like that little pouch there. Same stuff. It's transparent, you know, regular plastic.
Well, could we look at it inside? I mean?
Okay, let's see.
Well, here, you better go.
Yeah, okay. Well, you just unzip it here.
Mm-hmm.
Sure is compact, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. Look there, Joe. All folded up nice and neat.
Yeah.
Sure is lightweight, too. Plastic's great, isn't it?
Fine, yeah.
There we go. Full-size raincoat. See there? Fits fine. Never know a full-size coat would go in anything like that little pouch there, would you? It's no bigger than a tobacco pouch.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You ought to try it on, Joe. Never know you had anything on. Sure is light and nice.
Yeah, I can see.
Now we just put it back in the pouch till I'm ready for it. Let's see now. Collar goes up. Front folds in like this.
No.
No, that isn't right. Goes this way. Let's put it down on the table. That'll be better. Yeah, that's better. Now, here we go. Now we fold the arms in here. Now the bottom part comes up this way. Now we fold it over and again. Easy, isn't it? Just follow the crease marks and you're home, Joe.
Yeah.
Now, if you'll hand me that little pouch, Joe.
Oh, yeah. Here you go.
Oh, thank you. Now, no, I guess that's too big. Well, we'll make one more fold, guy.
Yeah.
It's small enough this way, but it's too fat, isn't it?
You better watch it there. You're going to tear that little sack.
That's funny. I folded right over the old creases there. Too fat, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, couldn't you just carry it in your pocket like that without the pouch?
Sure, that's it. Look at my coat pocket. No, that won't do, Joe. It bulges right out. It's kind of springy. Jumps out. It's like a piece of pongee silk.
Yeah, it seems to.
Well, it's still lightweight and easy to handle.
Sure. Plenty easy to carry just like that anyway.
Yeah. Well-made little pouch there. Seems a shame not to be able to use it.
You smoke a pipe?
No, you know that. Just cigarette. Yeah, I'll find some use for it. Probably 100 things a fellow could use a little pouch like this for if they could just think of them right off.
Yeah, that's right.
Riley, Romero, you want to step in here for a minute?
Right, Captain.
You fellows know Inspector Smith, Post Office Department?
Sure, how are you?
Romero?
Good to see you, Leo.
How you doing, Joe? Sit down, won't you?
Thanks very much.
Inspector Smith's over here on that mail thief case that we've been working on.
Oh, yeah. Did you receive those reports we sent over to you yesterday?
No, I haven't been to the office yet. Came straight over here.
The burglar turned it over to us yesterday afternoon. Ben and I ran it down. Seems to us like it might fit in somewhere here.
Miller and Ashton have probably got your reports now. I was just going to call in. Do you mind filling me in on it?
Apartment house over on Alvarado. Landlady reported a theft as part of a mailbox out there.
And somebody stole a master panel off the front of the community mailbox at the apartment house. Figure it must have happened sometime during the night.
Oh, yeah, I believe we got something on that, too. A postman on the route reported it.
That's how he's getting into the mailboxes. Steals the front panel, makes a key for himself, and then on, he's in business. Smart guy like we're after could put a key like that to good use. It's to a great many different mailboxes around town.
Yeah, it's the same M.O. We've been on this guy for a long time. He pulled the same thing down in San Diego, was knocking down about $2,000 a month. Then he laid out. Now he's at it again up here in L.A.
Mm-hmm. Well, as you know, we've been getting reports of the thefts and the passing of the checks about 10 days ago.
Yeah, I know.
We've got 5 checks passed by this same thief according to handwriting analysis. We know it's the same guy.
Talked to the victims and the bank teller. Description of the guy seems to tally with what you people have on him.
Yeah.
There's just one thing we haven't been able to piece out yet.
What's that, Joe?
When he steals a check, how does he know what bank to pass it on?
Well, I think we got the answer to that one.
Well, let's say that he steals a letter, and we know he doesn't only hit the community mailboxes. Sometimes he goes to a private residence, fishes the letters right out of the mail slots in that case.
Yeah, he's got some kind of a gimmick he gets down in those slots with.
Yeah, that's what we figure, Leo. But we'll say after he's got a letter with a check in it. Now, it's easy enough for a good forger to put an endorsement on it, but how does he know what branch of the bank to pass it on?
Well, at some time or other, he's stealing bank statements as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he's just lucky. At the time he steals a check, there's other mail in the box, too. The victim's bank statements.
Well, as far as that goes, I suppose he's stolen more than once from the same party. He could probably get away with bank statements easy.
Well, that's it. People never seem to report anything missing in the mails until weeks after it's happened.
It's easy to see why. They're not sure anything's wrong until they wait several days. They don't want to bother us in the case of anything routine like monthly bank statements.
And in the case of a check, well, sometimes it's from a relative or someone who owes them money and they don't want to embarrass them by writing or calling to find out about it.
And I suppose in the case of anything like a dividend check, we got a couple of those, Leo.
Mm-hmm.
The people who lose them just don't think it's time for them to arrive yet, so they just wait, huh?
That's it. And that's why he's been so successful. Plus the fact that it takes about a week for any kind of check to be processed through central clearing at any bank, and then, too, the bank wouldn't necessarily know that anything was wrong at that time.
Until the bank receives a complaint from the party who missed the check, they couldn't have any way of knowing that anything was wrong.
That's right.
Tell them what you were telling me this morning, Leo.
Well, you people aren't in it deep enough to know this yet, but this guy's been hitting the same branch bank maybe 2-3 times in a row.
Not here in L.A., has he?
No, not yet. It looks to us like he's just started up his operations here in town. That's the way he worked it down in San Diego.
Well, it's easy enough to figure. If he got a teller in some bank to go along with him, someone who didn't suspect him, and since the victims reported so late, he could get away with it at least that many times at the same bank, couldn't he?
Yeah. If people report missing mail immediately, it'd make it a lot tougher for the thief.
That last name on him still good? Harvey Fletcher?
That's what we're going on, yeah.
We've got bulletins out to all the banks carrying that description on him, and he changed earlier.
WMA, average build, 150, 160 pounds, gray eyes, about 32 to 35, well-dressed, carries a briefcase. Likable personality.
That's what we got on him.
Oh, there's a little something we picked up yesterday from a bank teller. She told us the man had long sideburns, for what it's worth. You might add that.
Okay.
Don Myers in handwriting has checked through his files, Leo. They haven't got anything on him. And the stats office hasn't been able to make him on his M.O.
And we know you people are doing everything you can for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I wish we could do more.
That name, Harvey Fletcher, of the 5 checks that we've got on the guy, according to handwriting analysis on him, he's only used that name once. The rest of the time, he signs the same last name as the payee's name on the face of the check.
And he passes himself off as a brother or husband or some relation to the rightful payee.
Yeah, that's what's taking in all those bank tellers, plus a smooth personality. He's cool, collected, all the confidence in the world.
Yeah, that figures.
Yeah, we got one day before yesterday with a little different twist. Isn't going to help us any, but here's the way he's working it in some cases. He deposits a large check to the victim's account, then he only takes out a small portion in cash. Throws the tellers off even more.
Here's those photostats, Leo.
What's this?
Copies of the last 5 checks that we got on the guy.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Harry.
Myers says they're all in the same handwriting. Is there anything else we can do for you, Leo? We've got all the banks in the area covered, got bulletins out on them.
Well, that's fine.
Don't think we've overlooked anything. Patrol units have been alerted.
With this latest theft of that mailbox panel, it's too bad we can't localize his operations a little.
Leo, didn't you say that if he makes a key, that key would fit any number of boxes in the city? We couldn't pin him down to one neighborhood, could we?
That's right. That key'll work on different mail routes. He probably knows the neighborhood around Alvarado is hot now. He'll leave it alone anyway.
It's impossible to stake him out on the actual thefts of the mail. It's too bad we can't get to him through one of the banks when he cashes them.
All your manpower and ours put together couldn't cover all the banks in L.A. at one time, but we've been spot checking throughout the city, hoping maybe to tab him just by luck.
We might get a break from one of our bulletins. Maybe some fellow will spot him.
Well, I'm not sure yet. That's one of the reasons I came over here this morning, but maybe we've got a little something.
What's that?
Well, a bank out in Westwood phoned us yesterday. The teller thought she recognized the guy from his description. Didn't dawn on her till after the guy had left her window. She rushed out in time to get the license number of his car.
Well, maybe it's a break, huh?
Yeah, looks pretty good. The check was drawn on the account of a William E. Scott. And that's the number 2 victim here in L.A.
Yeah, that's right. You've got the photostat of his checks right there.
Yeah, I know. Well, everything seems to fit. This check he passed yesterday out in Westwood was probably stolen at the same time as the first one, or at least it came from this Scott's mailbox. That we know.
Well, didn't this William Scott report the theft of 2 checks? I know he didn't to us. Maybe he did to you.
No, he didn't. Said he couldn't be sure. He gets quite a few checks through the mail. Owns a lot of stock, gets dividends.
Yeah, probably doesn't know when they come each month.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't miss the first one until it was way overdue. Might even be others missing. He doesn't know for sure yet.
Well, anyway, he's positive on this latest one out in Westwood that the bank teller caught, huh?
Sure. As soon as the bank manager called him, he knew he hadn't authorized anybody to cash any of his checks.
Does the M.O. seem to match?
Well, that's what's got us going on it. Looks real good. Smooth operator. Deposited part of the money, took the balance in cash. The major switch in his operation was the fact that he didn't go to the victim's regular bank as he did on that first check.
That sounds good, doesn't it?
And we kind of think so. That's the reason I came over here this morning. Conway, our handwriting man, thinks it's the same as the guy we're after. He asked me to check it through Don Myers to be sure.
What signature do you use on this last one?
Now, that's another part of the M.O. that checks out. You remember on the first check, he forged the victim's name, William Scott?
Mm-hmm.
Then he made it a second-party check by signing the phony name, George Scott, passing himself off as a nephew of the victim.
That's pretty smart. He goes to this victim's regular bank, and he doesn't take the chance of being tabbed as the payee. He covers by using that nephew gimmick. Huh?
Yeah. This time he goes to a different branch. Not the regular branch that the victim deals with as in the first case. He simply forges the victim's name and lets it go at that.
You doing anything on that license number?
Well, Ashton and Miller checked it out late yesterday afternoon. They're on it now.
Need any help?
Well, not so far. I'm interested in what Don Myers has to say about the handwriting. He ought to be through about now, huh?
I'll give him a call.
Well, thanks, Harry.
Hello, Don. Who's this? This is Elliot. Do you know if Don's checked that stuff through for Inspector Smith yet? Okay, thanks, Lon. No, that's all right. We'll get to him. Don was called out of the office for a minute. That was Sloan. He says he's sure Don's finished with it.
Oh, fine. You say when he'll be back?
He just ducked down to Thad Brown's office for a minute. I'll call down there for you.
Well, that's all right. I'll walk down there myself. I need the exercise.
Okay.
So and I'll walk on down with you.
Oh, swell. Let's go.
All right.
You fellas will be back here once.
Well, sure, as soon as I check with Myers.
All right.
Which way is it from here? This hall looks the same from one end to the other to me.
This way, Leo.
Oh, okay.
This affects you like the federal building does me. I get all turned around up there.
Yeah. Well, those fellas down in San Diego had a rough go on this thing.
Yeah, I was talking to McGuire and Ormsby down there just the other day. They said they were going around in circles on it.
They broke a lot of ground for us. Checked out a lot of suspects, cleared them. Checked out all that stuff that Brereton from CII sent down.
Yeah.
You know how thorough that guy is.
It figures they've done a lot of legwork.
Friday, you say you just talked to him down there?
Yeah, that's right, Leo.
Well, then you know about all those bulletins they got on the guy. Description, exemplars of his handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Sent them to every police department in the United States.
It's a big job.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go get Don. It's right in here.
Thanks, Joe.
Right. Don?
Yeah, Joe.
Leo Smith from the post office department's waiting to see you.
Right, Joe. I was just on my way back to the office.
Fine.
Oh, Don.
Sorry, Leo. I had ducked out for a minute.
Oh, that's all right. Said you get a chance to look that Scott check over?
Yeah, I did. Got a couple of things to show you back in the office.
Okay, fine.
Was Conway positive on this one?
Well, he said he felt we had the right man, but he wanted your opinion to be absolutely sure.
I couldn't be positive, but I think maybe he's your man. There's a great similarity, but too much pressure on the downstrokes. The Y's, the O's. Just not too sure. They're a little different than some of the previous samples of the guy's handwriting.
Uh-huh.
I can show you better back at the office. Got a few things for you.
Think there's a possibility, Don?
Let me put it this way. I won't say it is, and I won't say it isn't. Let's pick them up and find out for sure. Here we are. Go ahead, fella.
Thank you.
I've blown those things up here.
Uh-huh.
Call for you, Leo. I'm 3.
Oh, thanks, Harry. Excuse me. The Smith talking. You did? Uh-huh. We did. All right, look, why don't you bring him down to forgery detail here at the city hall? We'll talk to him here. Right, Ed. Right, thanks. Well, looks like the end of the trail. That was Ashton. He and Miller picked him up. He's our man that did the forgery.
Looks like San Diego did all the work and we get all the luck.
Anyway, we got him.
You are in the Scientific Investigation Division of a Metropolitan Police Department, the ballistics room.
You have just heard a test bullet fired from a .38 caliber revolver found in the possession of a suspect.
The test slug is removed from the ballistics box and compared with the slug found at the scene of the crime.
There they are. Side by side, they look alike. But examination will prove a world of difference.
Now, examine a Fatima. Compare it with any other king-size cigarette. Side by side, they'll look alike. But right away, you'll find there's a world of difference. Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
In the routine solution of a case, the police officer is always benefited by the legwork of his fellow officers. In this case, the men of the San Diego Police Department, in conjunction with the Post Office Department, had done most of the spade work, and the actual apprehension of the suspect appeared to be almost too easy on our end. Even though Ben and I hadn't participated in the physical arrest of the suspect, we felt the same gratification for the speedy solution of the case as did the postal authorities. Monday, March 3rd, 3:27 p.m., Miller and Ashton of the Post Office Department brought the suspect in for questioning. The prisoner was turned over to Inspector Leo Smith. Ben and I sat in on the interrogation.
Carver Gleason, that's your true name?
Yes, sir, it is.
You say you've never been arrested before?
No, sir, I never have.
Now, you know we're going to check that out.
Yes, sir.
All right, now let's go over it again.
The same way?
Well, it's up to you. We want the truth.
I've told you the truth. You asked me questions about stealing mail, about forging checks. You said I was down in San Diego. Well, it's not true. None of it's true.
Have you ever stolen from the mails?
No, sir, I never have. I know that's a pretty serious offense.
What makes you think forging isn't? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm not. I didn't say that, but this was the first time I've ever done anything like this. I didn't even think about the consequences.
Should have thought about them. When's the last time you were in San Diego?
I've never been there. I don't even know for sure where it is.
How long you been in Los Angeles?
About 3 months now.
Where's your home?
Akron, Ohio.
How old did you say you were?
25.
And what have you been doing since you got out here?
Just it. Nothing. Can't find a job.
Well, how you been getting by? How you been living?
Been staying down at the YMCA. Hope Street, I guess it is.
What have you been doing for money?
Well, my folks gave me a little when I left Akron. Thought I'd have a job by now. I didn't want to write home for any more, so when I found that check, I figured I could get away with it. I needed money, and I cashed it.
Where'd you say you found it?
Over on, that street out that way, La Cienega. Is that how you say it?
Oh, La Cienega, yeah. Now, what were you doing out there?
Well, I was answering an ad in the classifieds, trying to find a job. I had to park the car down the street from the place, and on my way back, I found this check on the sidewalk right near the bank on the corner.
Where'd you get the car?
It's my father's.
The car's registered in your name with California plates. How do you explain that?
Well, the folks told me when I got to California to go right to the authorities and register the car if I was going to stay so I wouldn't get in any trouble. That's where part of my money went.
You got anything else you want to tell us?
Well, I did it. I admit that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make it up somehow. The check was for $57. I
gave the men that arrested me 50 of it, and I spent $7.
Yeah, that's all on the record.
I did wrong. I'll pay the $7 back.
Well, you can take that up with the judge, Gleason. Friday, Romero, you want to step outside with me a minute?
Yeah, right.
Gleason, you wait here with that officer.
Yes, sir.
What do you think?
He's telling the truth. He's not the one we want.
How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I'll go along with Ben.
Well, that makes 3 of us.
Monday, March 3rd, 5 p.m. We went in and checked with Don Myers. In carefully going over exemplars of Carver Gleason's handwriting, he had definitely eliminated him as our suspect. Carver Gleason remained in custody awaiting trial. 3 months went by. During this time, the burglaries and forgeries continued. Suspects were picked up, checked out, and released. We got nowhere. Tuesday, July 12th. We received a communication from Chief Adam Jensen of the San Diego Police Department, who stated he was forwarding a radiogram from Chief John W. Polsine of the Milwaukee, Wisconsin Police Department. The radiogram from Chief Polsine stated that his handwriting man in Milwaukee had identified the suspect's handwriting, as listed in one of the San Diego bulletins, as belonging to Philip E. Holloway. Holloway was arrested 2 years previous on a reckless driving charge. The physical description of the man matched closely with the one that we had received on the suspect known to us as Harvey Fletcher. They further stated that although he was at one time a resident of Milwaukee, they had nothing further on him. It was just an outside chance, but we decided that in all probability this could be the suspect's true name, Philip E. Holloway. This information was forwarded to the postal authorities. Ben and I started to check through our channels to determine the whereabouts of the suspect, Philip E. Holloway, with a possible alias of Harvey Fletcher.
Yeah, that's it, Joe. Nothing in any of the phone books.
Yeah.
Covered everything I can think of. Our records, sheriff's records, nothing from CII, utility companies.
Yeah, well, maybe Smith found something on him. We haven't got anything here.
Think I'll give him a call, huh, Joe?
Yeah, I'd like to know. That's extension 664.
Yeah, I know. 664. Hello, Inspector Smith, please. How's that? Oh, I see. No, that's all right, thank you. On his way over here, he left 5 minutes ago.
I sure hope he's got something.
Joe, Ben?
Hi, Leo.
Think maybe we ran it down.
Good. How'd you do it? Through the Postal Service?
Yeah. Didn't figure, did it?
Well, we didn't think he'd stay put long enough to have a permanent address.
Well, he's been on the move, but we got the last known address on him. Received mail there 2 days ago.
You want to check with Don Myers? He's been working over those exemplars Milwaukee sent us.
I just did. Called him about 15 minutes ago.
Oh, we just got back from March.
What do you have to say this time?
Well, he and Conway agreed all the way this trip.
Yeah?
Holloway's our man.
Together with the postal authorities, Ben and I helped in the 24-hour surveillance placed on the suspect, Philip E. Holloway. Our findings disclosed that he was living in a modest apartment house and he was employed by a local vacuum cleaner company as a door-to-door salesman. This type of occupation would enable anyone to have suspicion-free access to any and all types of home mailboxes. The first 3 days of the surveillance failed to disclose any further incriminating evidence. Thursday, July 17th, 5th day of the 24-hour surveillance, 2:30 p.m. Holloway came out of his apartment building, got into his car, and drove approximately 4 miles to the Echo Park residential district. He parked his car, got out, and went up the steps of a small apartment house. Together with Inspector Leo Smith, Ben and I followed him.
You want to pull up here, Ben? This is good.
All right.
Yeah, he's going for that mailbox, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got the key. He's opening the panel.
Not a worry in the world. Broad daylight. Look at that.
He's got all the letters out of the box. Got them in his pocket. On his way back to his car.
Leo, there's a bank right up there on Sunset, see?
Okay, let's stay with him.
How's it look, Joe? You can see up ahead there. Is he pulling out?
Wait a minute. All right, let's go. Better pull up here, huh?
Oh, look at that. Just like it was blueprinted. Going right in the bank.
Come on.
Yeah. Joe, you see him?
There he is. Second window.
Let's get in line right behind him.
All right.
Yes, sir, may I help you?
Yes, I wonder if you can cash a check for me?
Yes, sir, would you endorse it, please?
Certainly. There you are. As you can see, this is my mother's check. I guess I can cash it all right for her.
Do you have any identification?
I'm sorry, I don't. I'll say I have this envelope of checks with mail being left in.
Yes, I think that's all right. How would you like this, sir?
He doesn't want it anyway, miss. Just hold that check for us, please. Postal inspector.
Yes, sir.
I beg your pardon. I believe you're making a mistake here.
No, there's no mistake. Come on, step over here. Shake him down.
I don't understand all this. That key you used over there on Baxter Street, that the one you made from that panel you stole over on Alvarado about 4 months ago? You know about that, huh? Yeah, we do. I did all right for a while, didn't I? That key angle's a pretty good one, isn't it? There's no lock in the world I can't make a key for. We got one in mind you might have trouble with.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 15th, trial was held in the United States District Court, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, all of us on Dragnet are convinced that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. We think you'll like them as much as we do. But the only way you can tell is to buy a pack of Fatimas and compare them with any other king-size cigarette. Now, side by side, they'll look alike, but in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness, a much better flavor and aroma. Compare Fatima. You'll agree, Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
The suspect, Philip Elwood Holloway, was found guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 10 years in the federal penitentiary. 5 years of his sentence was suspended, and he was placed on probation. One of the conditions being that he make restitution of the stolen money.
Ladies and gentlemen, accidents of all types kill more persons from 1 to 35 years of age than does any single disease. America's homes and children can best be kept safe if every father, mother, and child develops the personal responsibility to know and observe home safety rules. Make home safety a family affair. Be careful. The life you save may be your own.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles. Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over most NBC stations.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. Stay tuned.
The story you're about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to narcotics detail. You receive information that one of your city's most fashionable hotels is being used as the clearinghouse for high-grade heroin. Evidence points to a narcotics ring, the center of distribution. Your job, break it.
You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
The size is the same. They now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. They're extra mild, with a better flavor and aroma. Smoke Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, October 5th. It was foggy and rainy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Narcotics Division. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Kearney. My name's Friday. It was 8:47 a.m. when we got to 401 North Avenue 19, the main jail, felony section.
Morning, fellas.
How are you today, Pete? Morning.
What brings you up here so early?
We want to see Monty Wilkins, booked in last night on Narcotics. Booking number is 906351.
Okay, let me look.
Okay.
Here it is. He's in 103.
Thank you, Pete. I'll put it in the book here, Joe.
Okay.
Here's my gun. You want to check it with yours?
Yeah, right.
I'll put him away.
Okay, Pete.
Here's your check.
Thank you, Pete. All set, then?
906351.
That's it.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
All right. We want to talk to Monty Wilkins. He's in 103.
All right, we'll get him.
Monty Wilkins, 103 for interview.
Hello, Friday. Ben?
Hi, Monty. Better move out of the way there. He wants to lock that door, Monty.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go around the corner to the interview room, Monty.
All right. Man, this is awful.
What's the matter? Don't you feel good?
I feel awful. Pretty sick.
You look bad. I'll get the light.
Okay, Ben. Sit down, Monty.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, it's been about a year and a half, hasn't it, Monty?
About that long, yeah.
We got you for possession that time, too, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right.
How long you been in the stuff this time?
Well, I guess I've been hooked bad about a month.
How much you shoot?
Oh, about 2 caps a day.
When you were picked up down in Slauson last night, you had 7 caps on you.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we checked with the crime lab. They've run the stuff. It's not the usual Mexican, is it?
That's right.
You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's not Mexican.
We know that, Monty. Where'd you get it?
Haven't had anything like that for a long time. Real good. Haven't been cut. Real fine. Maybe it's coming in from the East Coast. Can't get nothing like that from Mexico.
Now look, Monty, we ran the stuff through the lab. We know it's high-grade heroin. We know all about it. Now I want you to tell us where you've been getting it.
Well, you know how it is. You want to ask the impossible of me? My life wouldn't be worth a penny. You know how it is.
We handled you a year and a half ago, didn't we, Monty?
Yeah.
You're still around, aren't you?
Yeah, I did time, though.
Well, you knew that going in. You're going to do time this trip, too.
So don't shoot us that line, huh?
Well, you guys know how it is with us guys. I can't tell you anything.
No, it isn't that you can't. You just don't want to. Now, look, we didn't come up here to spend the time of day with you, Wilkins. This is the only time around. If you want to help us, you can help yourself at the same time. It's up to you.
You mean you can clear me on this? You can give me a break?
We didn't say that. We can't make any promises to you or give you any kind of a break. It's entirely up to you how you want us to put it down in our reports. Cooperative or uncooperative.
Well, okay. You squared with me last time.
You helped us last time. We made a case.
But I'm not going to be able to help you very much.
Where you been getting it?
Well, I've only made a couple of buys on that good stuff. I just got it from some old mule I just happened to meet down there. Seemed to be pretty well loaded with the stuff.
Where'd you meet him?
Oh, down near 5th and Spring somewhere.
What's his name?
I never did know his name. I just knew that he was pushing the stuff. Some old mule, that's all.
Who's he pushing it for?
Now, you know they never tell us guys where they're getting it. You know how they do.
Yeah.
I never did talk to him very much. I did hear him say once he was getting his stuff from a new bunch of guys from the East. Said they were really going to open up this town.
The way you talk, they're no small-time operators. I got enough out of it to know they're working out of the Plaza Royal Hotel. Never figured that, would you?
Anything else? Any names mentioned?
Yeah, I remember this old mule mentioned a couple names. I think he talked about somebody named Kirk and another guy called Smith. Now, you understand, this guy was just talking. I don't know how they fit in or what the connections are.
Yeah, we understand. Where can we get a hold of this old mule?
Well, I don't know where he's at.
How do you get a hold of him when you want to make a buy?
I just run into him, that's all. Down around Spring Street. You know, just around. The last time I was down, I couldn't find him.
Is that all of it, Marty? And what you can tell us?
Well, I don't know too much anyway. You know how it is. I couldn't tell you any more. That's all I know.
All right, let's get on to this 510 if that's all you got.
That's everything I got. Hope you fellas will write me up okay. I think I helped you quite a bit, haven't I? One of the best hotels in town, Plaza Royal. Never would have figured that, would you?
Maybe.
I've told you quite a lot. The rest ought to be easy.
No, you're wrong there, Marty.
Why?
You haven't told us the name of your mule. You haven't told us where we could find him. You haven't made it so easy.
That's all I have. I told you a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot you didn't tell. We continued our interrogation of Marty Wilkins. He refused to divulge any further information. What he had told us, together with information already compiled, seemed to check out. For the past 7 months, we'd been trying to localize the operations of what had come to be regarded as a well-running distribution center for high-grade heroin. We knew of the existence of this distribution point through the various users that had been picked up almost daily. These users would have in their possession quantities of high-grade narcotics. Unlike the cheaper, lower-grade quality common in the southwest part of the country, this type of heroin was more common to the eastern section of the United States. We had believed the local distribution point to be somewhere in our metropolitan downtown area. The information gained from Marty Wilkins had strengthened this theory. 10:25 a.m. We met with Francis Kearney, captain of the Narcotics Division.
Plaza Royal Hotel, what do you think?
Well, we've figured what we were looking for could be in that area, but we've never put our finger on that hotel.
How do you figure on working it?
Well, driving back from the jail, Ben and I were just kicking it around. Skipper, what do you think about putting a man in that hotel?
Anything's a great deal better than we're doing now, but I don't know.
Oh, I'd like to give it a try.
I sure like a crack at it, Skipper.
You know how I feel about these kind of assignments. One man working inside, one outside. Brings the element of danger up kind of high.
Well, we know it's not going to be easy, but it looks like a good bet.
Sometimes these things are, sometimes they're not. You know what kind of a bunch they got to be. Been running their racket just about as smooth as it can be run. You know the kind of a risk a man would have to take if he tried to make contact with any of them.
Well, we think it's about the quickest way to get to them.
Yeah, maybe it might be worth it. You got any ideas how you'd like to work it?
There's just one thing. We haven't come to any decision who's going in and who isn't.
Well, I think I ought to be the one to work it from the inside of the hotel with Ben working outside as a contact.
I don't know why we can't just turn that around. Last time you had the rough end.
Joe, you just got back from your vacation about 3 weeks ago, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Didn't you stay down in Arizona? Phoenix, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know the town very well?
Oh, we got some relatives down there, yeah.
If they started asking you any questions about Phoenix, you could fill them in, huh?
I think so.
That's probably the best way to settle it, Romero. Friday he'll be in a better position knowing a little about Phoenix.
I don't see how you figured that way. I went on my vacation, too. Columbus, Ohio.
Well, because of the type of stuff that's been coming in, don't you think it'd be a little safer bet to have our men come from somewhere out this way rather than from the east?
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, you did it again, Joe. You beat me out.
All right, let's figure it this way. You're a local Phoenix hoodlum. Things got too hot for you down there, and you came up to L.A. to cool off.
Yeah.
How about Joe Edwards? How's that sound?
That sounds right to me.
We'll get all the necessary cards, identification papers, and a few letters to carry around with you, all under the name Joe Edwards.
All right.
I think the best way to work it is for you to hop right down to Phoenix. When you get in town, check with Roberts. He's in Narcotics down there.
Yeah, I know him.
Have Roberts fill you in on what's been going on down there. Any of their current characters they've handled recently. Any that have been known to pass through, you know, so you can talk about it freely.
Yeah, I understand.
Joe, when you check into the hotel down there, why don't you wire ahead up here to the Plaza Royal for reservation? Might be a good cover.
Yeah. Good thought. That's the way to handle it. You two have worked these things before. You know what to do. All the necessary precautions.
Well, how long do you figure I ought to lay over in Phoenix?
A couple days, maybe. Think that's long enough for you to get filled in what you'll need?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Well, I'll go home and get packed. I'll start on it first thing in the morning. Huh?
All right. Romero will stand by at all times, day and night, while you're on this thing. You know enough to call if things get tight.
Sure.
As soon as you get in from Phoenix and get located at the Plaza Royal, get in touch so we'll know which way to move.
Right. Anything else?
Well, we want to break this thing, but we don't want to do it at the risk of a life. So if it starts getting warm, check out.
Okay.
I still don't like sending anybody on something like this, but it's got to be done. We don't know enough about it. We don't know how many are in the gang. We don't know what kind of a bunch they are, so be careful.
I will.
If you're not and I hear about it, this will be your last assignment like this.
Yeah.
If I don't hear about it, well, you figure it.
Yeah, either way, I lose. I went over to the photo room at the crime lab and picked up the identification papers that had been made out in the name of Joe Edwards. I went home and removed all Los Angeles labels from the clothing that I was to take with me to Phoenix, Arizona. I removed all my personal identification and Los Angeles Police Department credentials. I left my service revolver home and borrowed a .38 automatic from Ben. I packed it in my suitcase. The crime lab also furnished me with a package or a bindle made to resemble the usual form in which a person would carry heroin. I packed this in my suitcase. Before my departure, Ben and I went over the proposed plan as best we could. I was to arrive from Phoenix under the assumed name of Joe Edwards. I would register at the Plaza Royal Hotel in downtown Los Angeles and attempt to make arrangements to participate in a narcotics buy for the purpose of gaining sufficient evidence to apprehend the narcotics ring. I was to keep Ben informed as best I could of my progress. As outlined by Captain Kearney, I arrived in Phoenix and contacted Sergeant Roberts at the Detective Bureau down there. He furnished me with all the necessary information and assisted me in acquiring local Phoenix clothing store labels to have sewn in my clothing. I obtained everything possible to make it appear that I was a long-time resident of Phoenix, Arizona. Several dummy hotel bills were made up for me to make it look as if I'd lived there for a period of time. I was furnished with an Arizona driver's license, a membership in the local social club, and a voter's registration stub. These were all packed in my suitcase. October 9th, 10 a.m., I arrived at the Plaza Royal Hotel, the front desk.
Yes, sir?
My name's Edwards. I'm in from Phoenix. Did you get my wire?
One moment, sir. Yes, sir. Joe Edwards?
Yeah, that's right.
Would you sign the register, please?
Yeah, all right.
Thank you. What?
Yes, sir.
Would you show this gentleman to room 211, please?
Yes, sir. This way, please.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you.
Two, please. Not very nice weather to arrive in Los Angeles, is it, sir?
No, not too good.
I see by the stickers on your bag you've been through Arizona.
Yeah, that's right.
Must be nice weather down there, huh?
Yeah, that's all right.
This way, sir.
Thank you.
Let me open the window for you, sir. A little fresh air in here.
All right. Okay. Thanks. Here you go.
Thank you very much, sir. Help you with your bags?
Yeah, all right.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Something dropped out on the floor here.
You better let me have that.
Sorry. Very sorry that happened.
That's all right.
Mr. Edwards, while you're in town here, if there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to let me know.
Yeah, okay.
I couldn't help but notice that little package there that I dropped.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I know my way around here in this town. If you need anything, anything at all, sir.
I'll tell you what. Now, here's $5. You never saw anything fall out of my bag there, right?
Anything you say, sir.
Okay. Thanks a lot. See you later, huh?
Yes, sir. Anything else, sir?
No, that'll be all.
You remember what I told you, sir?
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing to you. I couldn't be sure, but it looked like I'd been lucky right from the start. The bellboy at the Plaza Royal Hotel. I didn't know if I could consider this an opening contact or not, but he seemed to show more than a passing interest in the bundle of narcotics that he had seen fall from my suitcase. I didn't feel it was the right time to press the issue any further with the bellhop, but I figured I'd wait and leave the next move up to whoever he might have been working for. During the next 3 days, nothing happened. I tried, without appearing to be too bold, to arouse some interest, but without success. October 13th, my 5th day at the Plaza Royal Hotel, 6 p.m. I went in the bar off the main lobby.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah.
Kirk Harding's my name. I noticed you here in the bar the last couple of nights. You up here to buy a little, or are you selling?
I don't believe I follow you, Harding.
Look, boy, we've had you tabbed since that first day you hit town, October 9th. We haven't been out here too long ourselves. We're in business, too. Same business you're in.
Well, I don't know what kind of business you think I'm in, but you got it figured wrong, mister.
You know, this entire matter would work out much better for you in the long run if you'd level with me. You're just going to make it tough on yourself this way, but...
Well, I'm sorry. You lost me way back somewhere.
All right, let's do it the hard way. You're up here from Phoenix. We know you've got some stuff with you. We know you're not a user. You're a member of the social club down there. You're a registered voter.
Well, you've been working real hard, haven't you?
Well, there's more. You got 2 pieces of luggage. You're carrying a .38 automatic.
Any more?
Yeah. There's a telegram from a friend of mine down in Phoenix.
Yeah?
We know all about you, mister.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic cases from official police files. Now, let's look at our Fatima files.
Listed under L. Lovett. Vice Admiral Leland P. Lovett, United States Navy, retired. He says,
I smoked Fatimas when I was a midshipman. I still do, because they have a better flavor and aroma. Fatima is easily the best of all long cigarettes.
Friends, more smokers now insist on king-size Fatimas than ever before. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild, superbly blended, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package, carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So, if you smoke a king-size cigarette, compare Fatima.
You'll find they now cost the same. But your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. Smoke the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
It was a tight moment as Kirk Harding fingered the telegram in the bar of the Plaza Royal Hotel. I'd spent many hours in consultation with Sergeant Roberts in Phoenix, Arizona before undertaking this assignment. I felt sure that we hadn't overlooked anything that might lead to my true identity. Kirk Harding read the wire to me. It was from a man by the name of George Ferguson. He'd done some legwork for Harding and had not been able to furnish him with anything other than what had been found out in going over my room. I knew I'd found the contact that I was looking for. I told him that I was in the business of buying narcotics, that I was in Los Angeles for the purpose of making a prearranged narcotics buy with agents dealing in Mexican stuff. Harding immediately gave me a strong sales pitch, saying that he could furnish me with high-grade heroin fresh from the European market in quantity. At the end of the first week, I was introduced to Kirk Harding's two associates, another man called Smith, full name Horace L. Smith, and a woman by the name of Lucille Cosgrove. Ben had been unable to find records on any of the three. For the next 3 weeks, we became more friendly. We went places together, spent a great deal of time together. Monday, November 15th.
Well, we've had a lot of fun the last few weeks, haven't we?
Well, yeah, there's no doubt about that, but I got to be getting back to Phoenix.
Well, now, don't get eager, Joe. You know how cagey you were. You made us wait. Preliminaries are over. This is the big buy for you or anybody else.
Yeah, I know all that, but when?
Just be patient. You will have something to really set yourself up with down there.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me, Joe.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, hi, Lucille.
Hi.
Nice.
Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Lucille. What's the matter, Smith? Don't you feel good?
I don't know. It's hotel food, I guess. I think I got an ulcer. My stomach's sore all the time.
Oh, that's too bad.
I don't know what it could be. Baking soda don't do any good anymore.
How about a drink? Joe?
Yeah, fine with me.
Lucille, you want to get some ice out of the kitchen, please?
Sure.
Skip me.
Smith, you want to go see a doctor. You don't know for sure what's wrong with you. You might make it worse.
If I don't know what it is, how could a doctor?
I don't know. It works for everybody else. Might for you.
Hey, I can't get this ice tray out. Joe, would you give me a hand, please?
Yeah, sure. Okay, which one here?
I got the ice. Keep working on that other tray there. It's something to tell you.
Okay.
Listen, Joe, the big buys tonight.
You sure?
Yeah.
How about it, you two? You need any help?
No, that's all right, Kurt. Come along fine.
Joe, as soon as you show your money tonight, they're going to kill you.
How do you know?
If we don't have time to go into it, I know. You won't have a chance. They're going to kill you.
What are you doing? Waiting for him to freeze? Come on, how about the ice cream?
All right here, Kurt. I'm sorry.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want? Lucille? Joe?
Coke High, sorry.
Yeah?
I'll make mine bourbon, a little water.
All right. Smith, you sure you don't want one?
No, can't do it.
Joe, before I mix them, I got something for you.
Yeah?
Smith tells me tonight's the night.
Well, that's good, but why didn't you tell me a little ahead of time? I got a date for tonight.
Well, I think you better break that one and keep this one, don't you?
Well, yeah, I do, but just wish you'd have told me a little sooner.
There's the phone. You can take care of it.
Is it all right with you?
You know as much about this business as we do. Go ahead and use it as long as we can hear you.
Okay, fine. Just take a minute.
Want to sit here, Joe?
Oh, thanks, Smith. Yeah. Say, I wonder if you get my drink for me over there?
Sure.
She's probably going to be upset. I may need it, huh? Hi, honey, this is Joe.
Oh, yeah, Joe.
I'm sorry I won't be able to make it tonight, dear.
You can't talk, huh?
That's right, dear. No, I just can't get out of it.
I'll do the talking, Joe. Is it by tonight?
Yeah, well, it just came up all of a sudden.
Where do you know?
No, darling, I can't tell you where I'm going. You couldn't go along anyway.
Okay, we'll be with you 5 minutes from now all the way. Where are you now, at the hotel?
Well, that's the way it is, and I can't help it, that's all. Maybe we can get together later, huh?
We'll use one car, Joe. We'll stick as close as we can to you. One car ought to be safe, huh?
Well, it's better, honey. No, that's the way I like to hear you talk. I'm sorry. I'll see you later, huh?
We'll be with you.
Okay, dear.
Well, she still love you?
Yeah, she loves me. 15 minutes after I hung up, we went downstairs and got into a green Chrysler sedan. It was parked out in front of the hotel. I looked around. I didn't see Ben or any of our cars in sight. Smith drove, and Kirk and I got in the back seat. The woman, Lucille Cosgrove, remained at the hotel. I didn't know which of the two men was planning to kill me, but I felt sure Lucille Cosgrove told me the truth. Her information on the buy was right, and maybe this other was correct as well. We drove out Figueroa Street for about 16 miles. At this point, it became evident we were heading for the Los Angeles Harbor area.
You ever see a fog as thick as this, Joe?
No, never have.
Can't see 50 feet in front of me.
Yeah, well, just take it easy. Nobody's in a hurry.
That's right. Don't want to pile up anywhere.
Where are we going?
We're almost there.
This your car here? I've never seen this one before.
No, we rented it. Isn't that the way you operate?
Yeah, that's right. I just wondered if you played it as safe as I do.
We do.
I'm going to swing in this next alley up here, Kirk.
Somebody tailing us? Keep your lights.
Right. See anything out the back window?
Wait a minute. How'd they go?
How'd it look?
Two guys in the front seat. Could have been somebody. What do you think, Joe? I'll talk to you.
Well, whoever it was, we lost him anyway.
Yeah. No, okay, let's go.
Spot here in the fog. Don't see a soul anywhere.
That's fine.
We almost there now?
Yeah, just around the corner. This is a break, isn't it? Fog's clear right in here.
All socked in back up there. Well, as safe as you'd want to be, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
This is it.
Over by the storage building?
Yeah, that's right. Come on, let's go. Over this way, Joe.
What's over there in that building?
We're not going inside, just over there in that alcove.
All right, this is it, Joe. Let's see the money.
Well, where till I see the stuff, huh?
You don't trust anybody, do you?
What are you trying to prove?
Well, I didn't like what he said.
You're not going to like what I got to say either. Freeze, mister.
Watch it, Ben! He ducked in this alcove.
Yeah. Oh! Take care of that one there.
All right, easy, huh?
Yeah, you see him?
No, it's too dark. There he is.
I'm coming out!
All right, throw your gun out ahead of you.
He's not going to throw that gun out, Joe. Watch it.
Come on. There's his gun.
Yeah, I got it.
You want to shake him down?
Yeah. On your feet.
Where'd you get hit?
Sure. Let me see. You're all right, just crazy. You're a cop, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. Now, come on, let's go.
Where's your stuff? On the back seat in the car. Now, you tell me something. Why'd you slug Smith?
I just wanted something I knew you'd never give me.
What's that?
An even chance.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 4th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 81, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, let's compare Fatima with any other long cigarette. Now, Fatimas are the same length, 85 millimeters. Fatima has the same circumference, 1 1/64 inches around. And Fatima filters the smoke exactly the same long distance as other king-size cigarettes. But in Fatima, the difference is quality. You get extra mildness, a different, much better flavor and aroma. That's right. Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. Tomorrow, buy Fatima.
All three suspects, Kirk Arthur Harding, Horace L. Smith, and Lucille Marie Cosgrove, were convicted for violation of the State Narcotics Act, a felony. Harding and Smith were convicted on one count of attempt to commit murder. They are now serving their terms as prescribed by law in the state penitentiaries. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over most NBC stations.
Actor and producer Jack Webb's aim in Dragnet were for realism and unpretentious acting. He achieved both goals, and Dragnet remains a key influence on subsequent police dramas in many media. The show's cultural impact is demonstrated by the fact that even after 5 decades, elements of Dragnet are known to those who have never heard nor seen the program. The ominous 4-note introduction to the brass and timpani theme music titled Danger Ahead is instantly recognizable, as well as the show's opening narration. Stay tuned for more Dragnet right here on HOJO Radio.
The story you're about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to missing persons detail. A 10-year-old boy disappears from his home in a remote section of the city. 2 nights and 2 days pass. There's not a trace of the boy. Your job, find him.
Friends, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette. You'll find a world of difference. Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties. Extra mild, superbly blended. To give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufactured. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So compare Fatima yourself today.
You'll find Fatima's now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you,
that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, August 4th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Juvenile Bureau. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Inspector Bowling. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 2:25 p.m. when we got to Bowers Avenue, number 1218.
Yes.
Police officers, ma'am, would like to see Mr. Sherman.
Oh, certainly, officers. Won't you come in?
Thank you very much.
I'm Mrs. Keller from next door. I saw you around here yesterday.
Yes, ma'am.
Came over this morning, look after poor Mr. Sherman.
Yes, ma'am. Well, how's he feeling today?
Not too well. Fixed him some nice chicken broth for lunch, and then I helped him in his wheelchair and took him out in the backyard out in the sun. Good hot sun. It's wonderful for his legs. He has arthritis, you know.
Yes, so we understand. Wonder if we could talk to him, Miss Keller.
Well, yes, I guess you have to. He's still out in the back sleeping in his chair last time I looked. Seemed ashamed to disturb him.
Well, he called us at the office, said he wanted to see us as soon as we could make it out here.
Was it about his grandson, Jimmy? They found him yet?
No, ma'am. Searching parties calling in the area. There's still no trace of the boy.
Did any of the other officers who were out here covering the neighborhood talk to you, Miss Keller?
Oh, yes. There was Mr. Lorman, Detective Lorman.
Yes, ma'am.
I told him everything I knew about Jimmy's disappearance. It was right after dinner hour on Monday, about 6:30, last time I saw Jimmy.
I see.
I came out the side door to empty the garbage, and I saw Jimmy hiking up the side of the hill there, just in back of the house, all by himself. A nice boy.
As far as you know, Mrs. Keller, Jimmy is Mr. Sherman's only living relative.
That's right. His only relative, his only grandchild.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy's mother and father were killed in an auto wreck. That was 3 or 4 years ago. Sherman's had a terrible auto tragedy. Jimmy and his grandfather, they're the only ones left.
You can't think of any reason why the boy would want to leave his grandfather, can you?
None at all. Mr. Sherman's a wonderful man. Jimmy loved him, I knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Keller! Mrs. Keller!
Oh, that's Mr. Sherman. He's awake. We can go through the house out the back here.
All right, ma'am.
This way.
Thank you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
Visitors for you, Mr. Sherman. How are you feeling?
All right, I suppose. Hello, Sergeant.
Hi, Mr. Sherman.
What about the boy? Have you found him yet?
Well, nothing yet, Mr. Sherman. We've added more men to the searching party. We're doing everything we can.
Gone 2 nights and 2 days. Tell me the truth, Sergeant. What's happened to the boy?
Well, right now, we don't know any more about it than you do, sir, but that's no reason to give up hope.
You told us yourself yesterday that Jimmy's been missing once before. It turned out all right that time.
He wasn't gone for 2 nights and 2 days. Maybe you'll just say I'm old and I've got funny ideas, but I got a feeling, Sergeant, something's happened to Jimmy. Something's happened and I can't do anything about it.
You just put those thoughts out of your head, Mr. Sherman. They're going to find Jimmy and it's going to be all right. Why don't you pull up those lawn chairs there, Sergeant?
All right.
I'm going to go in the house and fix some cold lemonade for you men.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
We got your phone message at the office, Mr. Sherman. Anything special you wanted to talk to us about?
Yes, there was something. When you were talking to me yesterday,
Yes, sir.
I told you that Jimmy had on a brown jacket when he disappeared Monday night.
Yeah.
I was wrong, Sergeant. We found the jacket in his room. All he was wearing was a pair of blue jeans and this white sweatshirt.
Do you think that might help any?
Yes, sir, it might. We'll send out a supplementary description of his clothes. We'll see that everybody's notified.
Just wish I could be out there with a searching party. Arthritis is pretty bad today. Caught me at a terrible time. Don't know what I'd do if anything happened to the boy.
I know we've asked you this before, Mr. Sherman, but can you think of any reason at all why your grandson would want to leave home?
No, sir, no reason at all. Those 2 collie pups over there in the pen. Jimmy just bought them last week with his own money. Saved up to get them.
I see.
The boy's crazy about dogs. That's why I say just wouldn't pick up and leave everything. The boy and me got along fine. No reason for it, Sergeant. Something's happened to the boy. I just got a feeling.
Officer,
Yes, ma'am?
a telephone call for either one of you.
I get it, Ben. I'll be right back.
You're right.
The man said it was your office calling.
Thank you, Miss Keller. Where's the phone?
Telephone's straight back there in the hall.
Thank you very much. Friday talking.
This is Bowling, Joe. Just heard from the search party up in the hills.
Oh, did they find something?
Yeah, in the Elysian Park area by the upper reservoir.
Uh-huh.
Found a pair of kids' trousers right by the edge of the water.
What kind of trousers?
Blue jeans, nothing in the pockets. They'll start dragging for a body as soon as they get the equipment. Check it out with the grandfather, huh? See if the boy was in the habit of hiking up there around the reservoir.
Right. We'll call in just before we leave here.
Right, Joe.
Right, bye.
Well, there's your lemonade, Sergeant. Just poured it for you. Nice and cold.
Thank you, ma'am.
What was it, Sergeant? Something about the boy?
Well, nothing definite, no, sir. Just a report on the search party. They're still up in the Elysian Park area.
Oh, I see.
Did your grandson, Jimmy, do much hiking in that neighborhood up there, Mr. Sherman?
Yes, I think he did. Likes to hike up there around the reservoir. Why?
The name on the 316 report, missing juvenile, read James Philip Sherman, WMA, 10 years old. He lived with his 68-year-old grandfather, Oscar Sherman, in a small cottage in a sparsely populated section of the city. Shortly after 6 p.m. on Monday, the boy went outside to play. When darkness fell and he failed to return home, his crippled grandfather went out to look for him. Half an hour later, the neighbors joined in the search. No sign of the boy. At 10 p.m., Juvenile Bureau was notified, and throughout the night, squads of men on foot and cruiser cars canvassed the area. A local broadcast and an all-points bulletin was gotten out on the boy. Neither the grandfather or the neighbors could find any reason for his disappearance. After almost 48 hours of continuous searching, the only lead we had was the pair of trousers found on the edge of the upper reservoir in Elysian Park. They were shown to the grandfather, but he failed to give positive identification. Dragging operations at the reservoir began immediately. Meantime, Ben and I, together with Lorman and Lopez from Homicide, checked out every possible lead on the missing youngster. One of the tips came from a Frank Grady, an unemployed carpenter who lived 5 blocks from the Sherman home.
I don't know how much this may be worth to you, Sergeant. I don't want to get anybody into trouble, but I figured this is a pretty important thing.
Well, what is it you want to tell us, Mr. Grady?
Well, as I say, I don't want to get anybody in any trouble, but have you checked over everybody in this neighborhood?
I think we've talked just about everybody in the area, don't you, Joe?
Well, either us or the man from Homicide. Why do you ask, Grady?
Well, there's a guy who lives down the street there, right down the corner from this house. Old guy by the name of Gilby.
What about him?
As I say, I don't want to cause any trouble, but maybe you ought to double-check him. One thing, he's an ex-convict, I know that. Another thing, he hates everybody in the neighborhood. Hates the kids, too. Wouldn't be surprised if he was your man.
Why do you say that, Grady? Does he have any special reason for disliking the Sherman boy?
Old man Gilby wouldn't need a reason. A real queer one. Say, I got a couple cans of cold beer in the icebox, and I fix you fellas up.
Well, thank you. Just the same. What makes you think this Gilby had anything to do with the boy's disappearance, Mr. Grady?
Well, number one, I saw old man Gilby out walking Monday night when the Sherman kid disappeared.
Yeah?
Saw him walking along the road up there. The same one that goes up by the reservoir. And I watched him. It was dark by the time he got back to his house. I'd check on him again if I were you.
As far as you know, has Gilby ever been in trouble for bothering the kids in the neighborhood?
Oh, Sergeant, he bothers everybody in the neighborhood. Real queer. Lives by himself, always complaining about something. Frankly, I think he's your man. I think he took that kid and he did something to him.
Do you have anything at all to back up your opinion?
You dig around, you'll find something on him. He's no good, no bet on it. I've had a couple of run-ins with him myself. He just isn't any good, that's all.
Well, all right, Grady. Thanks for the tip. We'll be sure and double-check on the man.
You won't tell him where you got the tip, though, huh? Like I say, I've had run-ins with him before. It might cause trouble.
No, he won't know where we got it. Thanks again.
Okay, Sergeant. It's a pretty important thing. I didn't want to make anybody look bad, but the old man's just no good. Now, you understand that, don't you?
Sure, Grady. We understand. As a matter of routine, we double-checked on Grady's neighbor, Mr. Harold Gilby. We found out that he had no jail record and that he had been at work on Monday from 3 to 11 p.m. He could have had no direct connection with the Sherman boys' disappearance, no more than Grady himself could have had. The so-called tip he'd offered us was like 100 other phony leads in 100 other cases. Spiteful, small-minded neighbors trying to use a tragic situation to work out their jealousies and prejudice on somebody that they didn't get along with in the neighborhood. The search continued. So did the hot weather. Friday, August 6th. No sign of the missing boy. The temperature climbed into the mid-90s. Dragging operations at the reservoir went on. Saturday, August 7th. More legwork. More hot weather. By noontime, Ben and I had run down the last lead we had on 10-year-old Jimmy Sherman. Went nowhere. 1 p.m., we headed back for the office to check with Inspector Bowling.
These are the days when I wish I had a little swimming pool in my backyard. It would be nice to go home to.
Yeah, well, save your money.
Oh, it doesn't cost so much. No, I read in a magazine where a fellow built his own pool for $95.37.
There can't be much of a pool, can it?
Oh, yeah, it's good size. Of course, he did all his own labor. Had all his friends in to help out.
He must have had a lot of friends, didn't he?
Yeah, he did after he finished the pool.
Friday, Ben?
Oh, hi, Skipper.
How'd you two make out? Anything?
No luck at all.
That makes it unanimous. Did you hear about the old man, the boy's grandfather?
No, what happened?
I guess the strain got too much for him. He collapsed. They're moving him to a hospital.
Oh, that's too bad. Our men still up there Dragnet Reservoir?
Finished this morning. Nothing.
Well, how about the search party? Nothing there either, I suppose.
No, not a trace of the boy. It's a blind alley all the way around. How about the APB, the radiogram?
Had 3 replies so far. None of them panned out.
You want to grab it? Juvenile Bureau, Bowling. Yeah, Fred. No good, huh? Yeah, all right. Check you later. I heard it once. I heard it 50 times. No trace of the boy.
Got me, Skipper. Something real weird about the whole thing.
Well, now, look, we know he didn't just disappear into thin air. Kid's gone. There's a good reason for it. There's got to be an answer somewhere.
That's right. You'll find it.
Another week passed, and then a month. 2 months. We were no farther along than the day we started on the case. In November, we had a teletype from Chief Earl O'Clair of the Phoenix, Arizona Police Department. Reportedly, the Sherman boy had been seen in Phoenix. It was another false alarm. The Christmas holidays wore on into a new year. February came and went, then March, and April. Tuesday, May 3rd, 1:40 p.m. Ben and I got a call to check in with Inspector Bowling.
This telegram just came in from Dayton, Ohio. Have a look.
Thank you.
Let's see, Jim. What is it?
Jimmy Sherman. They found him. 9 months had gone by, almost to the day, since the Sherman boy had disappeared. The grandfather was contacted immediately. When he was told his grandson had been found and that he was safe, the old man was unable to answer. He broke down and wept. In our communications with the Dayton, Ohio police, they told us that the boy had been found wandering along a highway just outside that city and that he'd appeared to be in a kind of a dazed condition. The boy told the Dayton officers that he'd been kidnapped a short distance from his home in Los Angeles by a man in a blue sedan. He gave them detailed descriptions of both the man and the car. He told them that for the past 9 months, the man had held him prisoner, driving from state to state, never letting the boy out of his sight. He said the kidnapper told him on several occasions that he was holding him for ransom and that he was waiting to get money from his grandfather. On May 8th, the youngster was returned to Los Angeles and reunited with his grandfather. On May 10th, we got a call from the grandfather that he wanted to talk to us. Ben and I drove out to see him.
Come right in, officers. Glad to see you.
How are you, sir?
Hi, Mr. Sherman.
Sorry to cause you all this trouble chasing you out here like this.
Not at all, sir. What is it you want to see us about?
Well, I'm not really sure about it, Sergeant. That's the whole thing of it. I don't know if it's me or what it is.
Well, what's bothering you, Mr. Sherman?
It's the boy, Jimmy. I don't know what to think.
Well, how do you mean, sir? He's all right, isn't he? We saw him as we drove up, playing out in the backyard, and the doctor checked him over.
No, it's not that. The boy's healthy enough. There's nothing wrong with him.
Well, then what is it, sir?
Maybe it sounds a little weird to you, but I'm just not sure.
You're not sure of what?
That boy out there, Sergeant. I'm not sure he's really my grandson.
You are in the Communications Division of the Metropolitan Police Department, the teletype room.
'43 LOS 52951, 12:03 p.m. APB, WMA 150, 5'6", dark hair, dark eyes, wearing gray suit, no hat. Suspect is wearing glasses. Heavy build, 22 years. Suspect is armed with blue steel revolver. Any information? Forward.
You have just heard a teletype description of a suspect. This information will apply to many, but careful screening will eliminate all but one.
You'll find the same is true when you examine king-size cigarettes. Careful screening will eliminate all but Fatima.
Compare Fatima. Fatimas are the same length as any other king-size cigarette, 85 millimeters. Fatima has the same circumference, 1 1/64 inches around.
And Fatima filters the smoke exactly the same long distance as other king-size cigarettes, but in Fatima the difference is quality.
Fatima gives you extra mildness, a much different, much better flavor and aroma. You get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
So compare Fatima yourself. Your first puff will tell you,
that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Best of all, long cigarettes.
Tuesday, May 10th, 2 p.m. When the aging grandfather, Oscar Sherman, told us that he wasn't sure whether the recovered boy was really his grandson, Ben and I didn't know what to think. Our first reaction was that the shock of recovering the boy after he'd almost been given up for lost had been too much for the old man. Mr. Sherman admitted that there was no physical difference in the boy as far as he could see, but he still insisted that there was something wrong, that the boy seemed different somehow. To satisfy the grandfather, Ben and I talked to the boy, but he failed to give us any reason to believe that he was not Jimmy Sherman. We checked with the boy's friends, all the people in the neighborhood who'd known Jimmy over a period of years. They confirmed our opinion. A few thought that the youngster had changed a little, but no one had any serious doubts about it. The boy was really Jimmy Sherman. So the matter was dropped. Thursday, May 12th, Ben and I had lunch, and then we checked back in at the office.
Joe, want to grab that?
Yeah, I'll get it. Juvenile Bureau, Friday.
Sergeant, this is Mr. Sherman talking.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I want you to come out and take this boy, Sergeant. He's not my grandson. I'm sure of it.
Well, how do you mean, sir?
This boy's got a scar on his side. He's had his appendix out.
Yes, sir.
My grandson never had an operation in his life.
Before we left the office, Ben and I briefed Inspector Bowling on the phone call from the grandfather, then we drove back to the Sherman house. While Oscar Sherman didn't claim that he knew his grandson's complete medical history, he was certain that the boy had not had his appendix out and that he had not had an operation. He told us that his neighbor, Mrs. Keller, could substantiate that she had known Jimmy since he was a baby. We put in a call to the Sherman's family doctor. He wasn't in. We left a message, and then we went next door to see Mrs. Keller. We found her in the kitchen washing dishes.
I just got a couple more to rinse. Can you wait a minute?
Yes, Loretta.
Of course you can.
No, to tell you the truth, Sergeant, I just don't know what to think about Mr. Sherman. Maybe the whole thing was too much for him. His mind's going back on.
Look, to your knowledge, Mrs. Keller, was the boy ever operated on?
No, not as far as I know. But it's possible he did have an operation. I didn't hear about it. Sergeant, as far as I'm concerned, that boy's Jimmy Sherman. I don't know what his grandfather's up to with all that silly talk.
Well, if it's not really the boy, we won't have too much trouble finding the truth.
There's no question in my mind. Of course it's Jimmy. Why, when he was over here the other day, he talked about the party I gave for him one Halloween. He even remembered the children who were there.
Are the other neighbors as sure about the boy as you are?
Just about. Miss Foster down the street, Jimmy was in to see her yesterday. He talked about some changes she'd made in her living room, asked her about some relatives she has living out of town. Come to think about it, Jimmy even remarked on that new trailer rose I planted out in front. Besides, as the boys' dogs, why, they knew that youngster the minute he set foot in the yard.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Keller. If we have any more questions, we'll contact you, is that all right?
All right, Sergeant. Couldn't fix you a cup of coffee, could I?
Oh, no, thanks, Mrs. Keller. Time now.
Poor old Mr. Sherman. I don't know what to make of it. I'm so mixed up.
Yes, ma'am. So are we. We left the neighbor, Mrs. Keller, and went back next door to the Sherman house. The grandfather told us that the family doctor hadn't returned our call yet. At 3:30 p.m., the boy came home from school, changed his clothes, and went out into the backyard to play. We figured we had nothing to lose in talking to the boy again. We found him in the small workshop at the rear of the garage where he was sawing on a piece of plywood with a hacksaw. We talked to him for about 20 minutes. It was no different than the first time we interviewed him. He was relaxed and talkative.
Say, would you hand me that hammer there, officer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, here you go.
Thanks. Well, if I ever get this thing finished, it's going to be the best coaster around here. These are the wheels I'm going to put on it. Pretty good, aren't they?
Yeah, they look fine, son. Do you like building things, coasters and things like that?
Oh, yeah, I like it all right. It's fun.
Your granddad says you've changed quite a bit since you got back, Jim. Says you didn't like working around the shop here before.
Well, I guess I don't really. You know, once in a while I like to come out and fool around.
Have you seen Mr. Barlow down the street since you've been back?
Mr. Barlow? No, I went down to see him, but he wasn't home. Maybe I'll go down and see him tomorrow.
His name isn't Barlow, is it, Ben? I thought it was Robinson.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Mr. Robinson. Sometimes I forget.
How do you and your grandfather get along, Jim, all right?
Oh, sure, every once in a while it looks kind of funny at me. I don't know. I guess he's still worried about that man taking me away, you know, and all.
How you been feeling lately, Jim, okay?
Sure, I feel fine. Hardly ever get sick. That's good.
You ever been in the hospital, son?
Just once. Had my appendix out. I hate hospitals. Can I have that can of nails there, please?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, here you are.
Gotta make this good and strong, you know.
I'd like to ask you a question, son.
Yeah?
What's your real name?
I'm Jimmy Sherman. You know that.
No, I'd like to have the truth, son. Who are you?
You must be fooling, officers. You know who I am. Jimmy Sherman.
No, Jimmy Sherman never had his appendix out, son, but you did, and you've got a scar to prove it, haven't you?
Sure, I had my appendix out. Ask my grandpa. He'll tell you.
I'm afraid he won't, son. He says he's not your grandfather. He says you don't belong here. His grandson never had an operation in his life.
How about it, son? You want to tell us about it?
Oh, Grandpa isn't feeling well. He doesn't know what he's saying.
Well, he knows you're not his grandson. Now, come on, what about it, son?
All right. I'm not Jimmy Sherman.
He told us his real name was Donald Rush. He said he'd run away from his home in Springfield, Ohio 2 weeks before. He said that he'd been picked up by the police on a highway just on the outskirts of Dayton, Ohio. On returning the boy to the station, the police officers saw that he fitted the description of the missing California boy perfectly. It was almost as if the two were identical twins. Under the impression that the youngster was suffering from shock or amnesia, the police officers told him all about his home and his friends in California. They gave Donald Rush all the information that they had on the missing Sherman boy, all the newspaper stories, pictures, the dozens of teletypes and circulars which had been sent across the country in an effort to locate the missing youngster. On his way out to California on the train, the Rush boy was given dozens of newspapers to read, which contained thousands of words concerning the disappearance of Jimmy Sherman. So, by the time he got to Los Angeles, Donald Rush knew everything he had to know about the boy he was impersonating. We questioned the Ohio youngster further. Besides an exceptionally high IQ, he admitted to having an almost photographic memory. We took him in the house to face the grandfather of the boy that he'd been impersonating, the boy who was still missing.
Mr. Sherman.
Yes, Sergeant. Sit down, won't you?
The boy here has a confession for you. He wants to tell you himself.
I think I know. I was right all along, wasn't I, sir?
I didn't mean anything by it, mister. I just thought it'd be fun to make out like I was somebody else for a while.
You would know the difference, would you, sir?
No, sir. Afraid I wouldn't. That picture over there on the mantel and the boy here, they look exactly alike to me.
There's only one thing I'd like to know, son.
Yeah?
Why'd you do it? Why'd you try and fool me?
Oh, I don't know, mister. I ran away from home, and the cops picked me up near Dayton. They thought my name was Jimmy Sherman. They said I was a missing kid from California.
Why didn't you straighten them out right then, son?
I was kind of afraid, and if I told them what my real name was, they would have sent me back home. So I just let them think I was really Jimmy Sherman. And they seemed to be pretty sure I was.
How long did you think you could keep it up, son, pretending you were somebody else?
I don't know. Guess I never thought much about that. I got here, and everybody was nice to me. I just didn't think about anybody finding out. Honest, mister, I didn't mean to do anything wrong. I didn't mean to hurt anybody.
You never saw my grandson? You never saw Jimmy?
No, sir. I just got on the train and they brought me out here.
You don't know where he is? You don't know how he is?
All right, try to take it easy, Mr. Sherman.
Why would you do it, boy? You're a stranger. Why would you try to fool me about Jimmy?
I'm sorry, mister. I didn't mean it. Honest, I didn't mean it.
Thought I had him back. Thought I had him back.
Come on, then.
Let's go, son.
I didn't want to make him cry like that, Sergeant. Honest, I'm sorry. Couldn't you just let me stay here with him?
No, I'm afraid not, son.
I don't do anything wrong. Don't you think I could just stay here with him? I'll go right back in there now and tell him I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry too, youngster, but you're not the boy he's looking for.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On Wednesday, May 20th, a meeting was held at the Juvenile Bureau, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that meeting.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, I hold in my hand a new pack of Fatimas. All I need to prove that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. Now here on the side, you'll find this statement. Fatima contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos, superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild. Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. So tomorrow, buy a pack of Fatimas. I know you'll find that in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Donald Rush, who impersonated missing 10-year-old Jimmy Sherman, was returned to the custody of his parents at their home in Springfield, Ohio. 4 months later, the body of Jimmy Sherman was discovered buried on a farm on the outskirts of Riverside, California. The boy had been murdered. His killer, a farmer in the neighborhood, was subsequently apprehended and brought to trial. He was found guilty of murder in the first degree and was executed at the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, is brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over most NBC stations.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. More classic old-time radio coming your way next.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A wealthy society woman in your city vanishes. 2 months pass before her disappearance is reported to the police. There's suspicion of foul play. Your job? Investigate. Webster's Dictionary. Definition of the word compare.
Compare. Examine for purpose of discovering resemblance or difference.
Now, let's compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
The resemblance. Fatimas are the same length as other king-size cigarettes, 85 millimeters. Fatima has the same circumference, 1 1/64 inches around.
And Fatima filters the smoke exactly the same long distance as other king-size cigarettes.
The difference. In Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild. You get all the advantages of extra length plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
So compare Fatima yourself. Your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, February 8th. It was foggy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 11:23 a.m. when we got to the 9th floor of the medical dental building, room 912.
Dr. Marston?
Yes, what is it?
Police officers, doctor. Like to talk to you.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Daydreaming, I guess. I didn't hear you come in.
Well, my name's Friday, doctor. This is my partner, Sergeant Romero.
How do you, doctor? How do you do, gentlemen?
It's about the missing persons report on your wife. You filed it yesterday.
Yes, that's right, Sergeant. Certainly glad you came. I'd like to have this whole thing straightened out as quickly as possible. I want my wife back with me.
Well, we'll do everything we can, doctor. There's a few things we'd like to have you straighten out for us, if you will.
I thought I made it pretty clear in that report I filed yesterday. What is it you have a question about?
I've got a copy of the report right here. Says your wife disappeared December 9th. That's a little over 2 months ago, Doctor.
Yes, that's correct. December 9th, Sunday night. We were out having dinner. We had a little argument, and Louise left. I didn't hear from her until the following Friday. That's when she wrote me the first letter. It was from New York.
Well, weren't you a little alarmed to find out your wife had left you and gone east?
Well, I wasn't too happy about it, but we'd had a few arguments before. Always figured it did both of us good if Louise got away for a little while. Well, I wasn't particularly worried. She has friends in New York. Would you care for a cigarette?
Not right now, thank you, doctor. I've got a light for you.
Thank you.
I understand your wife didn't stay with her friends this trip, Doctor.
No, apparently she didn't. However, I wasn't too concerned. She wrote me letters twice a week, and then she wrote Stanley. That's our son. He's in military school. Louise wrote to him regularly, too.
And the last letter you got from your wife was about 2 weeks ago.
Yes, sir, exactly 2 weeks ago. Had the same postmark on it, New York.
Well, have you any idea at all where she was staying back there?
That's a strange part of it, Sergeant. Louise didn't put a return address on any of the letters. I inquired of some of our friends back there, but none of them had seen her. Well, I suppose she was staying at a hotel. I don't know which one, though.
Well, about those letters, Doctor, now you're sure that they're in your wife's handwriting? You don't think they could be forgeries, do you?
It's possible, but I don't think so, Sergeant. I know my wife's handwriting.
Do you have all the letters with you, sir?
Yes, I'll have my secretary get them before you leave. She's out to lunch now. Oh, excuse me, please.
Go ahead.
Yes, Dr. Marston. For Miss Taylor. Oh, yes, I'm glad you reminded me. Thank you. I'm sorry, officers. There's a denture I have to have ready for one of my patients by this afternoon. Would you mind if I go ahead and work on it while we talk here?
No, it's perfectly all right, Doctor. You go right ahead.
Would you mind stepping in the lab? Thank you.
All right, fine. Go ahead, man.
Sorry to interrupt everything like this. I do have to have this denture ready, though.
We understand.
Doctor, you say the night your wife Louise disappeared, the two of you had an argument?
Yes, that's correct. We were having dinner out at our country club, and I guess Louise had too many cocktails. She Gets in a nasty mood when she drinks too much. I asked her to stop drinking. She flared up and walked out of the place.
Did anyone besides yourself see her leave?
Oh, yes, 2 or 3 couples, friends of ours. When I found out Louise had gone off to New York, I thought, well, it was her way of teaching me a lesson. I wasn't too disturbed about it until the letters stopped coming.
Well, how about your son, Stanley? Do you know if he's still getting the letters from his mother?
No, he's not. I telephoned him up at his school. He stopped getting letters about the same time I did. Let's see, where did I put that casting ring? Oh, yes, here we are.
Then, as far as you know, Doctor, no one at all has actually seen your wife since that night at the country club when she walked out and left you.
That's correct. As I say, if I hadn't been getting those letters from her every week from New York, I would have called the police in long ago. Would you excuse me, please?
Oh, yeah.
Quite a bit of oxide in this gold crown I've cast here. A little bit of acid should take care of that.
Well, what's your theory on all this, Doctor? Your wife leaves suddenly and she goes to New York. She corresponds with you and your son, and then her letters stop coming. What do you think might have happened?
Well, frankly, Sergeant, the whole thing's a terrible family mix-up. Get this crown here out of the acid.
Well, how do you mean, Doctor, a family mix-up?
Well, just that. There's only one reason for Louise disappearing the way she has. Money. Money and that stepfather of hers. Say, would you switch on that small motor there, Sergeant? I've got to polish up this crown, get it in shape.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Thank you.
Well, what do you mean, Doctor? How does your wife's stepfather fit into all this?
Money man. It's about the size of it. I don't know if you're aware of it, but my wife, Louise, was left a considerable amount of money by her aunt. Well, it was a fortune, as a matter of fact. Louise's stepfather has always been trying to get his hands on it. Excuse me again.
Sure, go ahead. Well, you think your wife's stepfather is responsible for her disappearance, is that right?
Oh, I'm not making any direct accusations, Sergeant. But 2 days ago, or 2 days before Louise disappeared, I had $80,000 in bonds signed over to her. Checked around since she's been gone. Haven't been able to locate the bonds anywhere.
You think she had the bonds with her when she left?
Guess I'm sure of it. Pardon me just a moment.
Yes, fine.
That's a fine cast. Good sharp margins on it.
Well, the $80,000 worth of bonds, Doctor, do you have any way of proving that you gave those to your wife?
Well, certainly. I had my wife signed a receipt for them. You're welcome to check it over if you like.
Just how do you think your wife's stepfather figures in there? Is there any indication he might have made a move to get the bonds?
Enough to satisfy me, yes. My secretary told me about it. Lenore Dexter, that's the girl in the reception room. The night after my wife left me at the country club, that'd be December 10th, Miss Dexter was at the airport waiting for a friend to arrive on the plane. While she was waiting, she saw my wife and her stepfather cross through the waiting room and go out toward the main gate.
Your secretary's sure it was really your wife and her stepfather?
Well, that's what she told me. You're certainly welcome to talk to her yourself if you like.
Yes, and well. Now, besides the bonds, do you know of anything else of value that your wife had with her when she left?
No, I don't think so. She had her fur coat on, of course. It's expensive. She was wearing a diamond ring, anniversary gift from me, large solitaire, worth quite a bit of money. You can get the description from the jeweler. I'll give you his name.
All right, Doctor. Your wife's stepfather, we'd like to have his name and address, too.
Surely. I'll have my secretary check on both of them right now.
All right, fine.
Sergeant, you've got to find Louise. I've got to have her back with me.
Well, we'll do everything we can, Doctor. We promise you that.
I know my wife wouldn't stay away of her own free will, not this long, not at a time like this.
How do you mean?
Well, let me show you. Here it is. This is the final drawing the architect made for us. What do you think of it?
Oh, it's very nice.
Oh, it certainly is.
It's got to be our own building. 12 stories, finest in the city. Robert A. Marston building for professional men. Louise and I have looked forward to it for a long time.
I understand.
We settled on the final plans a week before she disappeared. Contractors will start construction in a few weeks now. There's supposed to be a great day in our lives. Laying the cornerstone.
Yes, sir, I understand.
Great day. We're already a Marston building. It's a funny thing, isn't it, officers?
How's that?
Nothing's very great unless there's somebody to share it with.
Before we left the office of Dr. Robert Marston, we talked with his secretary, Miss Lenore Dexter. She confirmed the doctor's statement that on the night after Louise Marston had disappeared from the country club, she had seen both Mrs. Marston and her stepfather at the city's international airport. She said she did not follow them. She had no idea of their destination. Dr. Marston gave us the letters his wife had written him during her absence and also his wife's signed receipt for the $80,000 worth of bonds. Each of the letters was postmarked New York, and the dates on them ranged from December 15th to March 24th. Well, Ben and I drove back to the office and put in a call to the home of the missing woman's stepfather, a Mr. William House. Then we went down the hall to the office of Don Meyer, our handwriting expert. We gave him the letters, which supposedly had been written by Mrs. Marston from New York, along with a signed receipt for the bonds and various other exemplars of her handwriting, which we had obtained from her bank. 2:50 p.m. The missing woman's stepfather, William House, arrived at the office. He was a tall, graying man, dignified, well-dressed.
It's about time the police started looking into this thing. How long does a person have to be missing before there's an investigation?
The missing report was only filed yesterday, Mr. House. If you knew your stepdaughter was gone, why didn't you report it?
I've had private detectives working on this for a month. Had them checking everything about the case.
How much luck have they had?
Frankly, not much. But I still got them working on it.
Well, getting back to what we have on hand, Mr. House, how about this statement of Dr. Marston's secretary? She says she saw you with Mrs. Marston at the international airport the night after she disappeared.
It's a lie. I haven't been near that airport in 6 months. It's a lie, and I can prove it. I don't know what Marston's up to, but he isn't going to get away with it.
What do you mean with that, sir?
I think he's murdered Louise. I think he killed her and buried her somewhere. That's my honest opinion.
You sound sure of it.
I am sure of it. I knew Marston for what he was the day I met him. He's a fortune hunter, pure and simple. He's after Louise's money, and nothing's going to stop him. Nothing has stopped him.
Well, I was under the impression that Dr. Marston was wealthy before he married your stepdaughter. Isn't that right, sir?
Certainly not. He was just another poor dentist with a lot of big ideas. All this talk about putting up a building, naming it after himself. Why, Louise fought him on that constantly. He's some kind of crazy egotist.
And what about the $80,000 in bonds he says he signed over to Mrs. Marston?
If he told you that, he's a bigger liar than I thought.
Well, he gave us a receipt for the bonds. It was signed by his wife. Can you account for that?
Frankly, no. Either he got her signature on it by some kind of trick, or he forged it. I'm sure he never had that much money. Those bonds belong to Louise.
And what about the letters Dr. Marston got from his wife? You think they were forged, too?
I'm positive they were. Don't you see, officer? It's the perfect cover-up for it.
Well, one way or the other, it's not going to take us long to find out the truth. Our handwriting man's checking over the letters and the bond receipt now. Can you fill us in at all on Dr. Marston's background, Mr. House?
Only since he's been connected with the family, since he married Louise. Say, would you give me a cigarette, please? I went off and left mine at home.
Oh, sure. Here you are.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't tell you how I feel about it, officer. I'm afraid of that man. I'm deathly afraid of him. I know he's done something terrible to Louise.
Well, how can you be so sure of it, Mr. House? You must have some basis for your opinion.
I just know, that's all, Sergeant. If Louise had just disappeared and there wasn't any question of money involved, I wouldn't be so anxious about it. But $80,000 worth of bonds, that would be enough to tempt Marston to murder his own mother. You don't know him like I do.
Well, what do you know about him, sir? There must be something concrete.
I can tell you this much, officer. Marston's a man who is capable of murder. Now, I'm a sensible man. I don't walk up and down the street looking for murderers. But I know when we've got one in the family. That much you've got to believe. You will believe it.
Well, excuse me just a minute. I'll get that. Homicide, Friday. Yeah, Don. All right? All of them? Right. Thank you, Don. Well, that was our handwriting man, Mr. House.
Yeah?
He just finished checking the writing in those letters and on the receipt for the bonds.
What did he say? Forgeries?
No, sir. They're genuine. Every one of them. As soon as William House left the office, Ben and I began an immediate check of his whereabouts the night after his stepdaughter, Louise Marston, had disappeared. We talked to his friends and associates, members of the staff at the club where he lived. we found a dozen people who backed up House's claim that he was nowhere in the vicinity of the airport the night after Mrs. Marston dropped from sight. We went back and talked with Dr. Marston's secretary, Lenore Dexter. She still insisted that she had actually seen House at the airport with the missing woman. Dr. Marston and the stepfather continued to accuse each other of murder. At our request, repeated efforts were made by the New York police to locate Mrs. Marston. No luck. We checked and rechecked with the maid at the home of the missing woman. All she could tell us was that Louise Marston never returned home after leaving the country club, and also that she'd been wearing a fur coat and an expensive diamond solitaire ring. A week passed, and then 2 weeks. We stayed on it, but there wasn't much progress. The case of Louise Marston came to a virtual standstill Wednesday, February 24th.
Hi, Joe.
Morning. Anything new?
Yeah, I think we got a break. The Marston case.
Oh, what do you got?
Maid out of Dr. Marston's home. She called first thing this morning. Said Dr. Marston had a little dinner party out there last night.
What about it?
One of the people there was Marston's secretary, that Lenore Dexter.
Oh, yeah.
She was wearing a large diamond ring.
Yeah?
Maid got a good look at the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Says it's the same one Mrs. Marston was wearing the night she disappeared.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic cases from official police files. Now, let's look at our Fatima files.
Listed under B. Borden, Mrs. Clay Borden of Palm Springs in San Francisco. She says,
pleasing, distinctive, and really extra mild. That's the way I'd describe Fatima. It's definitely the best long cigarette.
friends, more smokers now insist on Fatima than ever before. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild, superbly blended, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean gold and yellow package.
Remember, Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
So if you smoke a king-size cigarette, compare Fatima.
You'll find they now cost the same. But your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Wednesday, February 24th, 9:15 a.m. Ben and I drove out to the home of Dr. Robert Marston and talked to the maid. She told us that on the previous evening, the doctor had had a small dinner party and that one of the guests was the doctor's secretary, Lenore Dexter. The maid told us that she'd gotten a close look at the diamond ring that Miss Dexter was wearing and that she was sure it was the same ring that the doctor's wife, Louise Marston, had been wearing the night she disappeared. 10:20 a.m. We left the Marston house and headed downtown to the doctor's office in the medical dental building. The office was closed and locked. We got back in the car and drove out Sunset Boulevard to Lenore Dexter's home address. We found the secretary having breakfast alone in her two-room apartment. She explained that on Wednesdays, the doctor never opened his office before noon. We questioned her about the dinner party at the doctor's home the night before. We asked her about the diamond ring that she wore at the party. She became confused and hesitant.
Well, what about it, Miss Dexter? Was that your diamond ring you were wearing at the dinner party?
Well, no, Sergeant, it wasn't. I guess it belongs to Dr. Marston, either him or his wife.
Well, did he give it to you as a present?
No. You see, I guess the doctor had a few cocktails before dinner. Maybe one too many. He went upstairs and came down with the ring. He insisted I wear it. He was very insistent. I didn't want to make a scene, so I put the ring on. I gave it back to the doctor just before we left the house. My boyfriend was with me at the party. We had a terrible argument over it. He's very jealous.
Tell me, Miss Dexter, did Dr. Marston have any special reason for wanting you to wear the ring?
No, just that he liked me and I was pretty and I ought to have pretty things. My boyfriend didn't like him at all.
Well, had you ever seen that particular diamond ring, Miss Dexter? Before last night?
Well, I don't know, Sergeant. I think so. I'm not sure.
Well, where do you think you saw the ring before?
Mrs. Marston. I think I saw her wearing it once.
Was she wearing it the night you were supposed to have seen her at the airport?
I don't know what you mean.
I didn't notice the ring, but I saw Mrs. Marston at the airport.
I'd like to have you think this thing out for yourself, Miss Dexter. Mrs. Marston's been gone for almost 3 months now, and there's a strong possibility that she might have been murdered. You can make up your own mind about it, miss. If you're not involved in that disappearance, I'd advise you to tell us the truth. Might save you a lot of trouble. Miss Dexter?
You mean about my seeing Mr. House at the airport with the doctor's wife, the night after she disappeared?
Yes, ma'am, that's right. You sure that's the truth?
I didn't want to get involved, Sergeant. I didn't want any part of it.
You mean you didn't see Mrs. Marston and her stepfather at the airport that night, that you made it all up?
I didn't make it up, Sergeant. I swear I didn't. He told me what to say. He said to do it as a favor for him.
Who's that, miss?
Dr. Marston.
We continued to question the secretary, Lenore Dexter. She confessed that Dr. Marston had directed her to tell the story about seeing Louise Marston and her stepfather, William House, at the international airport. It was all a complete lie. She said that Marston had explained that the whole thing was just a practical joke, that it didn't mean anything. When Mrs. Marston was officially reported missing, she thought of going to the police, but Marston had frightened her out of taking any such action. The only other suspicious thing she could recall about Mrs. Marston's disappearance was a conversation between the doctor and his architect, Mr. Harold Whitmore. He was the architect who had planned and designed the projected Robert A. Marston building for professional men. Well, the secretary told us the doctor's conversation with the architect had taken place about a month before Mrs. Marston's disappearance, and that she'd heard the doctor mention to the architect something about New York and a packet of letters. Lenore Dexter was taken downtown, where she gave us a complete signed statement. Ben and I got in the car and drove to the offices of architect Harold Whitmore over on South Hope Street. He was a tall, florid-faced man, very cooperative.
Yeah, I remember that conversation with Dr. Marston. He gave me a bunch of letters, at least a couple of dozen anyway. They were addressed to the doctor and his little boy Stanley.
What do you want you to do with the letters, Mr. Whitmore?
He asked me if I had any friends in New York, and I said I did. Then he said he was playing some kind of practical joke on his wife and son. He gave me the letters and asked me if I'd send them to a friend in New York and have him mail them back one at a time.
You agreed to do that?
Yeah, that's right. The letters were all sealed and stamped, all in order, the way they were supposed to be mailed. I just sent them back to this friend of mine, Bob Rogers, in New York. Forgot all about it.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Whitmore, how long have you known Dr. Marston? Very long?
No, not too long, only in a business way. He wants to put up this office building of his, and I'm handling the job for him. He's sure nuts on the subject. Can't wait till we start construction on the job. I think his life depended on it.
You know much about his personal life? Where'd you first meet him?
Let's see, I think it was around October of last year. He and Mrs. Marston were building a summer place down at Malibu, and I helped out with the plans. The doctor was always hanging around there, helping out with the work whenever he could.
Uh-huh. That's the only previous contact that you had with him, huh?
And that's about all, yeah, building the beach house. Dr. Marston thought he had some new ideas about building a new type basement in the place.
That's so?
Yeah, not a bad job on a cellar for an amateur. Used enough cement on it to sink a battleship.
Well, just a second, Mr. Whitmore. Did Dr. Marston cement in the basement while the house was being built? Is that...
No, about a couple of months later, around the middle of December, I think.
Do you remember the date exactly? When he did the cement work?
Not exactly. It was about the 12th or 13th of December, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right after his wife disappeared.
Wednesday, February 24th, 1:30 p.m. Ben and I picked up Dr. Robert Marston and brought him downtown to the office. We questioned him for an hour and informed him of the evidence against him. Despite the statement of architect Harold Whitmore, the doctor insisted he was innocent of any crime connected with the disappearance of his wife. We contacted the New York Police Department and asked them to check on architect Whitmore's friend, Robert E. Rogers. A special detail of men was dispatched to the summer home at Malibu to see what they could find. Half an hour later, Dr. Robert Marston was placed in a car, and Ben and I drove him to the Malibu home. We continued questioning him during the drive, but he refused to make a statement of any kind. On our arrival at the beach cottage, we found Marston's young son, Stanley, together with a maid and the family butler. We took Dr. Marston downstairs to the basement. The men had a large section of the cement flooring ripped up. They were digging. In the room up above, we could hear young Stanley Marston playing on a toy harmonica.
I'd like to know something, Sergeant, just for my information.
Yes, sir?
Why do you think I'd kill my wife? Why do you think I'd do such a thing?
We're not sure yet if you did kill her.
And why do you have these men doing this? Digging up the whole basement. Why do you think I killed her? You won't find anything. You might as well tell them to stop now. They won't find anything. I explained everything to you. Why can't you take my word for it?
Well, you still haven't explained about those letters, why you had them sent to New York. You had the mail back here one at a time?
Got nothing to do with it. Why can't you believe me?
Your wife didn't disappear without a reason, Doctor, and we'd like to know what the reason is.
I told you a dozen times over. You know what happened. We were at the country club, Louise and I. She was drinking a lot. I told her to lay off. We had an argument. She walked out, that's all. She walked out. I didn't see her anymore.
Yes, sir. We'll have it all worked out. Don't worry about it.
Why can't that maid look after the boy up there? Making all that noise. Why can't you take him out somewhere down to the beach?
Romero? Yeah?
See you a minute.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Sergeant, what do you want me to say?
What's that?
They've found her, you know that. Louise, right where I buried her. What do you want me to say?
Well, that's up to you.
Yes, you wouldn't understand, would you, Sergeant? The only thing I ever wanted in my life. She wouldn't let me have it. The building. Robert A. Marston building. For professional men.
You mean your wife wouldn't give you the money for it? That's why you quarreled, is that it?
I tried to tell her. One fight after another. She didn't know how much it meant to me.
And that's why you killed her, huh?
I followed her outside the country club that night. Drove her to my office. She was pretty drunk. We pretended she was on a trip to New York. I had her write the letters. Had her sign the receipt for the bonds. Wasn't hard to do.
How'd you kill her?
Put my hands around her throat. Didn't stop until she was dead.
Joe?
Yeah, man.
Hey, found her. You ready to go, Doctor?
All right. It was a dream of a lifetime, Sergeant. I almost had it. The Robert A. Marston building. Finest in the city.
Yeah. You want to come upstairs, Doctor? We'll get your coat.
You'll try to understand, won't you? I wanted something that'd last. My own building. My name on it. Something you'd remember.
Yeah.
That's the reason I killed Louise. She didn't want me to have it. My own building. Something that would last. Make the people remember.
Well, you made it, Doctor. Why worry?
What?
You don't need a building. I'll remember you.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 3rd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, our latest sales figures indicate that Fatima is undoubtedly the fastest-growing long cigarette in the country. And I'm sure you'll agree that there must be a sound reason for Fatima's ever-increasing popularity. Well, in my way of thinking, that reason can be summed up in just two words. Fatima quality. You'll spot it instantly. Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. So tomorrow, buy a pack of Fatimas and prove to yourself that the difference is quality.
Robert Alexander Marston was charged with murder in the first degree. 10 days after his trial opened in Superior Court, the suspect took his own life in his jail cell by hanging. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, as Roger Dragnet transcribed from Los Angeles. Stay tuned for Counter Spy next over most NBC stations.
The original Dragnet, starring Jack Webb as Sergeant Joe Friday, ran on radio from June 3, 1949 to February 26, 1957, and on television from December 16, 1951 to August 23, 1959, and then from January 12, 1967 to April 16, 1970. All those versions ran, of course, on NBC. There were two Dragnet feature films, a straight adaptation starring Jack Webb in 1954, and, of course, a favorite of mine, a comedy spoof in 1987. There were also television revivals without Webb in 1989 and 2003. Stay tuned for more classic Dragnet, right here on HOJO Radio.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, Best of all long cigarettes brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to accident investigation, hit and run detail. You receive a call that two elderly women have been struck down in a crosswalk by a hit and run driver. The women lie in Georgia Street Hospital. Their condition is critical. Your job? Find the driver. In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild, superbly blended, to give you Fatima's much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect Fatima cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality. Even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow Fatima package.
So compare Fatima yourself today.
You'll find Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Yes, light up a Fatima. Your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Saturday, September 5th. It was mild in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of accident investigation, hit and run detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Benny Caldwell, chief of traffic. My name's Friday. It was 7:35 p.m. when I got to 4656 Collis Avenue. My front door.
Is that you, Joseph?
Yeah, Ma. Got both Sunday papers.
Oh, good. It's nice music on the radio, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty. It's your favorite song, isn't it?
Yes. See you in my dreams. Every Saturday night we used to get together down at the old Cromwell house on West Adams Boulevard. Weekly dance, you know.
Yeah, I know.
It was a lovely old home down there. Had a beautiful ballroom upstairs. Always had a good time at the Cromwell house.
Was that before you were married?
Oh, my, yes. Met your father through Mildred Cromwell, you know. She was quite fond of him, too.
Was that so?
Yes, she was. Oh, nothing serious, but she used to think quite a lot of Sam.
You broke him up, huh?
Now, Joseph, you know I wouldn't do a thing like that. If Millie was only mildly interested in Sam, I wouldn't come between two people that were happy. You know that.
Well, that isn't the way he used to tell it. Said you just broke him up, that's all.
Yes. Well. He ever tell you about the time all the girls invited some of the fellows from the Royal Order of the Western Wildlife Protective Brotherhood, Southern Charter, over to the basket raffle?
To a what?
Basket raffle. All the girls packed tasty lunches, and the boys bid for them at auction.
Oh, yeah.
It was a warm summer evening, just like tonight. It was a grand affair. Adam Shellman was there with Jim Donahoe, and your father came with Lorenzo Fisher, the Grand Vizier of the Wildlifers.
Yeah, sounds like quite an evening.
Oh, it was, Joseph, it really was. Samuel bid the highest for my basket, $10.15. I'll always think to this day that's the reason Millie Cromwell's been so cruel toward me.
Yeah, could be. You want part of the examiner, Ma?
Oh, thank you, son. I want to finish turning this collar in your shirt.
Okay.
You wouldn't think a basket lunch could come between two good friends, would you?
A big pardon? What's that?
You'd ever think a basket lunch should break up a friendship like Millie Cromwell's and mine?
No, ma'am, you wouldn't. I'll get it, Ma. Friday talking.
This McDermott, Joe.
Oh, yeah, Mac.
Got a bad one. Two elderly woman was struck by a hit and run.
Well, just a minute, Mac. I can't. Hey, Ma, would you turn down the radio, please?
You're on.
Thank you. Yeah, Mac, go ahead.
3 blocks west of Riverside on Los Feliz. We have 2 traffic cars out there now for the preliminary investigation. You, Romero, better roll on it.
Right, Mac, right away.
I've already notified Romero. He's on his way over to pick you up now.
Okay, I'll be ready.
Keep me informed, huh?
Right, Mac, bye.
You have to go back to work, Joseph?
Yeah, where'd you put my flashlight, do you remember?
It's right here in the desk.
Okay, thank you.
What is it, son? An accident?
Yeah, bad one, it sounds like. Hit and run.
Who was it, did they say?
A couple of elderly women struck down up on Los Feliz.
Isn't that terrible?
Yeah, Ma, they're all terrible. 10 minutes after I hung up the phone, Ben arrived, and at 8:10 p.m. we got to the intersection of Los Feliz Boulevard and Commonwealth Avenue. The bodies of the 2 victims had been removed and taken to the Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. One of the uniformed officers was taking photographs of the scene. His partner was picking up particles of glass and all physical evidence left by the hit-and-run driver. He identified himself as Officer E.W. Hyde, Unit 61T.
Few pieces of the headlight lens and the chrome ring, about all. And this is the point of impact, huh? Yeah, that's right. It's 24 feet south of the northerly pavement and about 12 feet east of the westerly curb line.
Right in the crosswalk up there, huh?
Yeah.
Very freshly painted, the driver couldn't miss seeing it, could he?
Yeah, it's well illuminated, good street lighting up here.
Hyde, were the signals in operation?
No, they weren't. Boulevard stopped here, though. Blinkers are all in operation.
How far were the bodies of the victims thrown?
Body number 1 was thrown 70 feet. Body number 2 was knocked 38 feet in the southwest direction. Both came to rest approximately at the center line of the street. Whoever did it was going at a high rate of speed. That's what we figured. I told you there were no skid marks, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Any witnesses? Yeah, there's 3, but only one I think will be helpful. What's the name and address? He's right over there on the curb now. Name's Richard Morgan. Runs the nursery there.
Well, thanks, Hyde. You're going to make the reports and book the evidence, are you?
Yeah, I'll take care of it. That's Morgan over there in the tan overalls.
All right. Thanks a lot, Hyde.
Okay.
Your name, Richard Morgan, is that right, sir?
Yeah, that's right.
Police officers, Mr. Morgan. This is Sergeant Romero.
How are you? Hi, sir.
My name's Friday. We're out of accident investigation. I'd like to talk to you about the accident that just happened here.
Sure was a bad one. Hope you catch those kids. Didn't even slow down.
I understand you witnessed the accident. Wonder if you'd be kind enough to tell us what you saw.
I was just closing up my nursery here. Just unlocked my car and was about to get in when I saw this car come shooting up Los Feliz there. Fast clip.
Where were the 2 women?
They were just stepping off the curb under the crosswalk over there. I could tell they didn't see the car. Yelled, honked my horn. Guess I wasn't quick enough. It was just awful.
Go on, Mr. Morgan.
Well, the way that car hit those women looked to me like he knocked them 50 feet at least. Then, just like nothing at all, the car raced right on through the intersection on down Los Feliz, that way.
Did you get a look at the driver?
No, sir, not too good, but I believe he had blonde hair. Looked to me like he was alone in the car.
Anything more about him?
Looked like a young kid to me. I'll bet on that. He was a young, blonde kid, about 18, 19, on in there.
Now, how about the car he was driving? Can you help us out there, sir?
I believe it was a Ford. I don't know what year. Yeah, a Ford sedan, 2-door.
What color was it?
Black, dark blue. I'd say black.
Did you happen to get the license number, sir?
No, sir. Everything happened so fast. I guess I was kind of stunned for a minute. You know how you'd be. Sorry, wish I did.
You're pretty sure about the car, Mr. Morgan. Are you familiar enough with cars to be positive it was a Ford?
Yeah, I think I am.
And you don't know what year the car was?
No, sir. I'm sorry I don't. Just know it was a Ford sedan.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Morgan. We may have to check back with you later.
Anytime. I'd rather do whatever I can to help you get that driver.
How can we get a hold of you, Mr. Morgan?
Well, I'm right here all times. Morgan Nurseries. 4402.
Thank you very much.
Those 2 old women, they didn't have a chance the minute they stepped off the curb. Crazy kid didn't even stop to see if he could help him.
Yes, sir, we know.
Didn't see him. Maybe it was Ford.
Before we left the scene of the accident, we interviewed the other 2. They could add nothing to Richard's investigation disclosed. Victim number 1 was victim number 2 was identified as Elizabeth Ann Carey, age 65. Ben and I drove over to the Hollywood station where we met Officer Hyde, who was just completing his reports and was booking the physical evidence found at the scene of the accident. Included in the evidence were the topcoats worn by the victims at the time they were struck down. All this was turned over to Lieutenant Lee Jones in the crime lab. Ben and I compiled the small amount of information that we had, the physical scene, and the scanned information that the witnesses were able to give us. Not enough for us to attempt to identify the driver of the hit-and-run car. Well, there wasn't much to go on. PM. We got a call from his investigation and wanted to see us right away. We
hadn't got much of almost anything.
All right.
First off, your witness out there, what was his name?
Morgan?
Yeah, well, Morgan is right. The car was black. Ran a microscopic analysis on scrapings found on the victim's coats.
Yeah.
I'd say a black car, previously painted tan or sand color under the black.
That was one of the things he's positive of. How about the make and the models? Anything there? Is that too much to ask?
Well, I think maybe I can help you there, too.
What's the break-in?
Let's see. Just got back from the lighthouse. Ran a lens meter test, and those pieces of broken headlight lens, and the diopter reading shows that particular type lens was made in 1934.
Well, how about the make of the car, Lee?
The only company that used this type of lens was the Ford Motor Company.
Pretty positive about it?
Ran a spectrographic test on the chemical composition of the glass in the lens. Checks out.
Well, we got a car to work on.
That's it, 1934 Ford black.
Oh, thanks a lot, Lee.
It's all right. When you find the car, I can tie it in definitely for you.
Well, that's fine.
Oh, excuse me. Crime Lab Jones. Right here, Mac. Just a minute. So either one of you, it's McDermott.
I'll take it, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah, Max Romero. Oh, when? Yeah, me too. Yeah, right. Mac just got word from Georgia Street.
Yeah.
Both victims. They just died.
With the death of the two victims, what had only been a hit-and-run felony had now become a case of manslaughter, 2 counts. Ben and I went back to the office and met with Lieutenant McDermott. Past experience has proven to the traffic officer that the quickest and surest way to a successful prosecution of a hit-and-run case is with the full cooperation of the average citizen. A hit-and-run felony differs from the ordinary police case in that the investigating officers are not dealing with a criminal suspect. In a case of this nature, the guilty party could well be the outstanding citizen of his community. In all probability, he had no motive for a crime, only motive in running from the scene of the accident. Well, the one way to gain citizen cooperation was to acquaint him with all the details of the accident, any and all information that we had or would obtain as the case worked towards solution. 10:15 p.m., Saturday, September 5th. In addition to the emergency broadcast put out at the time of the accident, supplemental broadcasts and APBs were sent out. Ben and I then started to make up a special police bulletin.
Wanted for manslaughter and hit-and-run felony.
Okay. Information regarding identity of occupant of following hit-and-run vehicle. Regarding identity of occupant.
Yeah. Vehicle, okay.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Involved in accident resulting in death of 2 female pedestrians.
Accident. Yes. Accident occurred September 5th. Approximately what time, Joe?
7:30 p.m.
Right. On Los Feliz Boulevard at intersection of Commonwealth Avenue.
Okay. Now, can I see what we got?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Occupant, young male, Caucasian, approximately 18 to 19 years of age. Vehicle, 1934 Ford sedan, black with tan undercoat, driven by male occupant. This car will have extensive damage to front end. Facsimile photographs of type of car wanted appear on this bulletin.
You got the photos right here. Side, front, and back view.
Okay, this ought to do it. Let's get it down to the printing bureau right away, huh?
Yeah, auto paint shops, wrecking yards, garages, repair stations, used car lots, insurance company.
The daily papers are running a spread on it in the next edition.
That ought to cover it?
Yeah, it's all there if it gets to the right person. Wednesday, September 9th, 10:45 a.m. The inquest of the 2 hit-and-run victims was held, and the jury returned a quick verdict of manslaughter, 2 counts, naming a John Doe as guilty. For the next 3 weeks, we received numerous phone calls concerning the black Ford sedan. All leads were checked out and failed to materialize. Cars fitting the description of the wanted vehicle were constantly being stopped and the occupants questioned. We got nowhere. Ben and I followed up on our bulletins. We checked various garages and paint shops. Used car lots were checked and rechecked. No luck. Monday, October 3rd, 2:30 p.m. We were on our way back to the office after having canvassed several wrecking yards and repair stations.
I never knew they made so many black 34 Ford here. I don't see how we could have overlooked anything, you.
No, I don't. Something ought to break on this thing soon.
We just had a little more to go on. That license number, if somebody could have seen it.
Yeah, that'd help, wouldn't it? I get it. Traffic Friday.
Hello, my name is Dan Provost. I run a used car lot in Dan's Corner at 54736 Avenue.
Yes, sir?
I'd like to talk to somebody regarding that last bulletin you sent out September 7th this year.
Well, I think maybe I can help you, sir.
That 34 Ford you're looking for on that hit-and-run thing?
Yeah, that's right.
Young kid, blonde, says he's got some repair work for us.
Yeah?
I got one of my mechanics stalling him now.
What's the car look like, Mr. Provost?
Like the one you're looking for. The reason I called is because he says he banged up the front end. Right away I remembered the bulletin.
All right, sir, see if you can hold him there, will you? We'll be right over.
I'll do my best.
We'll be right there, sir.
I think I've got your man for you.
It took us to get to 50 Dan's Corner. We crossed over the gravel-covered lot to the rear where we found it.
Yes, sir, that's right. I'm sorry, I did my best, but I couldn't hold him here without making him suspicious, but I'm sure he'll be back.
How do you know?
You see, he bought this car from us, says he had a little accident and wanted us to fix it up for him. I told him we would if he'd bring it in.
Why do you think you left? It's only been about 15 minutes since you called us downtown.
Well, he might have heard me talking to you.
Well, if he did and he's our man, I doubt very much if he'll be back.
Oh, I bet he will. Blonde kid, about 19 years old, driving a black 34 Ford, just like the one you're after.
Well, can you give us his name and the license number of the car?
Sure, it's Curly Watson. License number, I got it right here. 9R9707. I looked it up on his contract.
And this name, Curly, you have his full name?
Sorry, I guess I'm a little excited. It's Wilfred E. Watson. Everybody around here calls him Curly. I'm pretty sure he's the one you want. I know that car. I bought it from us about 5 months ago.
Well, it's just too bad you couldn't have detained him just a little longer, Mr. Provost.
Well, like I say, you don't have to worry. You'll be back.
What makes you so sure?
From the way you described the damage to us, I'd say he's got about $75 to $100 worth of work on that front end.
Yeah?
I know he's the man you want. I'm going to be in trouble if he's not.
What do you mean?
Well, it was the only thing I could do on the spur of the moment like that.
Yeah?
That's how I know for sure he'll be back here.
Well, how's that?
I told him I'd fix his car free.
You are in the Forgery Division of a Metropolitan Police Department. Handwriting analysis.
All right, now write the alphabet in lowercase, please.
You are listening to a handwriting expert taking an exemplar of a suspect's handwriting.
Now write the numerals from 1 to 10, please.
This handwriting sample will be compared with a forged signature. Side by side, two signatures may often look alike, but closer examination will prove a world of difference. You'll find the same is true when you compare king-size cigarettes.
Fatimas are the same length as any other king-size cigarette, 85 millimeters. Fatima has the same circumference, 1 1/64 inches around.
And Fatima filters the smoke exactly the same long distance as other king-size cigarettes.
But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Fatima gives you extra mildness, a much different, much better flavor and aroma. You get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
So compare Fatima yourself. Your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Best of all, long cigarettes.
We called Lieutenant McDermott and filled him in. He sent Sergeants Kilpatrick and McClendon out to relieve Ben and me and to maintain a stakeout on Dan's Corner, the used car lot, in the event the suspect should return. We went back downtown to R&I. Wilfred E. Watson had a record and was wanted by the Fresno Police Department, where he had jumped bail. The charge was grand theft. We took Watson's mugshot back to the used car lot, where he was positively identified by Dan Provost. Ben and I went to his last known address. The landlady told us that Watson had moved approximately a month ago and had not left a forwarding address. From his mama sheet, we obtained a list of his friends and associates. All efforts to locate him failed. The stakeout continued. We showed the mugshot to Richard Mortigan, the one good witness to the accident. He said he could not identify Watson as he did not get too good a look at him, but he stated that there was a possibility that he could be the man. A week went by. The whereabouts of the suspect was still unknown. Tuesday, October 10th, Ben and I were out running down a lead on Watson when we received a call to return to the office. Lieutenant McDearman met us as we got there.
I put that call in for you.
Anything doing there?
I got a lead. I don't know how good it'll be, but we ought to check it out right away.
Well, what do you got?
We just received a call from the Santa Monica PD. Mrs. Agnes Hastings called in and gave him a little something.
Yeah?
As I say, maybe there's nothing in it, but see what you think.
All right.
The Hastings woman stopped in at a local soda fountain down there. That place is patronized by the hot rod crowd. Said she overheard part of a conversation between a couple of the kids.
Yeah?
This one dark-haired boy was sitting at the counter when another kid walked in the front door. The kid that came in had red hair. The dark-haired kid said, "Hi, Red," and the redhead sat down by him.
Yeah.
And one of the kids made some remark about the boy's red hair, asked him why he dyed it. The redhead said, "Well, they're looking for a blonde, aren't they?"
Yeah. It could be a little something, huh?
Yeah, I thought so. Then the Hastings woman followed the red-headed boy outside and took the license number of his car.
Anything there?
I don't know yet. Ran it through DMV, but it's not in the file. Mark Benson's got a call into Sacramento now.
Anything new on Watson?
No, nothing yet.
Well, where can we find this Agnes Hastings man?
Oh, here's the address right here.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that's all she had. Said she'd been following the hit-and-run story in the papers. Thought this might be worth forwarding anyway.
Yeah.
Well, just a minute. Traffic, McDearman. Oh, hi, Art. Yeah? Oh, you did, huh? Yeah, I see. Yeah, right. Bye. That was Art Kilpatrick. He and McLendon picked up Watson.
Yeah, anything?
They're bringing him in now. They say this Watson denies the hit and run. Jones will check his car over, then we'll know a little more.
Well, there's not much we can do till we hear from Benson on the Santa Monica thing.
Well, maybe there is.
What's that?
We got 2 leads. We can hope one of them's right.
While waiting for the call from Mark Benson at CHP, Ben and I drove over to the police garage on South Figueroa. Wilfred Watson's car had been impounded, and Lee Jones had made his investigation. His findings eliminated Watson's 34 Ford as being the hit-and-run car. Investigation showed that Watson's car was involved in an accident, but this was 5 days prior to the killing of the 2 women pedestrians. Wilfred E. Watson was booked for the Fresno authorities for prosecution on their warrant. This left only the one lead, the red-headed boy who had dyed his hair. If Agnes Hastings' observations had been correct, the fact that the boy originally had blonde hair made him a possible suspect. 11 a.m. The information from DMV came through from Sacramento. The car was registered to a Calvin L. Martin, 16 Boardwalk Lane, Santa Monica. The car was a 1939 Dodge sedan, legal the same. 16 Boardwalk Lane was a small beach house facing out on the Pacific Ocean in the town of Santa Monica. 11:26 a.m. We arrived in front of the house.
This is it, number 16.
Yeah, all right, let's go up on the porch.
I don't see anybody around. Looks like nobody's home.
Well, let's try the bell. I guess you're right. Nobody home.
Yeah. Let's check the garage, huh?
All right. It's around the side, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, yeah.
Padlock. Maybe there's a window on the side. Yeah. Come here, Joe.
All right.
Window's kind of dirty. I'll wipe it off a little.
Yeah, that's better, huh? Can you see anything?
Take a look, Joe.
Let me see. Yeah. Looks like a 34 Ford to me.
Notice the left front fender?
Yeah. Pretty badly dented, isn't it?
Looks like we're home, maybe, huh?
Well, I'd like to get a closer look.
Thanks much, Sid. See you back to work, huh? Sure. Expect about 1:30. Okay.
Young kid got out of a car out front. Looks like a redhead from here.
Come on.
Hi. You men want something?
Police officers.
Yeah.
Do you live here?
Yes, I do. What's wrong?
What's your name?
Louis Martin.
Who is Calvin L. Martin?
My father. Why?
Was he on a 1939 Dodge?
Yeah, that's right. Anything wrong?
Whose car is that down in the garage there?
Belongs to a friend of mine. I just let him keep it in there.
What's his name?
Jesse.
Yeah, well, Jesse what?
Jesse Armstrong.
Where does he live?
Over on Venice Boulevard.
What's the number?
I don't know offhand.
You let him park his car here in your garage and you don't know where he lives?
Well, I know, but I just can't think of it. I don't understand. What's wrong?
You got a key to the garage?
No, Jesse's got it.
You don't keep a key to your own garage?
No, I let Jesse keep it.
You always had red hair?
Sure. Why?
Red on top and blonde at the roots. Is that it?
I wish you'd tell me what's going on.
No, Armstrong, you tell us.
Well, what's a joke?
All right. Let's hold it right here. I didn't do anything. Let me go.
Well, how about it, son? That's the second time you tried to run now, isn't it?
How'd you find me? Who told you?
You want to tell us about it?
I didn't mean to hit those two women. I was coming home from up in L.A. I was late, and I was trying to hurry to get home. I didn't see them until it was too late.
Why didn't you stop? Why'd you run?
I was afraid. I just couldn't face it. I thought I could get away with it, I guess. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it.
Do you know those two old women died as a result of you running them down?
No. I didn't know they'd die.
All right, come on, son. Let's go.
I didn't really mean to do it. I'll tell everybody I'm sorry. I am sorry. That'll make a difference, won't it?
You killed two people. You figured.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 17th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 81, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, I can give you over a dozen good reasons why Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes, but I'd rather let Fatima speak for itself. That's why I suggest that you buy a pack tomorrow, and then compare Fatima with any other long cigarette. You'll find, just as I have, Fatima's extra mildness gives you a much better flavor and aroma. You get all the advantages of extra length plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. Ask your dealer for Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
The suspect, Louis T. Martin, was found guilty of manslaughter. He was sentenced to 1 year in the county jail and was placed on probation for 5 years. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over most NBC stations.
Thanks for listening to HOJO Radio. We have more classic radio coming your way next.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. An elderly man reports the sudden death of his wife. He claims he awoke in the morning to find her dead on the floor of their bedroom. The cause of death is not apparent. Your job? Investigate. In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild, superbly blended, to give you Fatima's much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect Fatima cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality. even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow Fatima package.
So compare Fatima yourself today.
You'll find Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Yes, light up a Fatima. Your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Friday, November 12th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 9:38 a.m. when I got back to the first floor of the Blackwell Hotel. Room 7.
Oh, hi, Joe. Come on.
Yeah. How's the old fella doing? He tell you anything?
Hasn't talked at all. He's pretty broken up. The woman's dead, that's about it. How about the bruise on her forehead? You think that could have been it?
No, it was just a slight bruise. I don't think that could have killed her.
Did they move the body out of the room yet?
Yeah, it just did. Taking it downtown for the autopsy. Well, I guess we can take the old man back to his own room now, huh?
Yeah, I think so. He's back here in the kitchen there. Fixed him a cup of coffee. Still feeling pretty bad. Mr. Turner, would you like to go back to your room now? Everything's been fixed up. Mr. Turner?
What happened? You can tell me. What happened to Gertrude?
I'm afraid we don't know, Mr. Turner, not yet.
I told you about it, didn't I? Woke up this morning about 8 o'clock. Put my arm over on the pillow and she wasn't there. Then I got up and I saw her laying on the floor. My wife, Gertrude. I felt her arm. She was cold. Ice cold. Somebody ought to know what happened.
Well, we'll let you know just as soon as we get the coroner's report, sir. Would you like to go back to your own room now?
What's the coroner have to do with it?
Well, he's going to have to perform an autopsy. We'll have the report for you tomorrow morning.
I don't want to do that to Gertrude. I don't want him to.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm afraid it's necessary. Deaths of this kind, there was no doctor in attendance, nobody to sign the death certificate.
There's nothing I can do, nothing to help her.
I'm sorry, Mr. Turner.
Can we help you back to your room, sir?
Is she still there?
No, sir. They've taken her body downtown. Can I give you a hand, maybe?
Thank you. All right.
I'll get the door.
Where'd Mr. Parkson go?
Who's that, sir?
The hotel manager, Mr. Parkson.
Oh, yeah.
These are his rooms here. I wanted to tell him thank you for letting me stay down here a while.
Well, I think he'll be back in a few minutes. He was busy outside.
Nice of him letting me use his place. I couldn't stay in our room, not the way it was. Gertrude wasn't there.
It's all right now, Mr. Turner. Can you make the stairs all right?
Yes, thank you. I'm just a little tired, that's all. Guess the whole thing's been too much for me.
Maybe you'd like to have us call your family doctor.
No, we don't have a family doctor. I'll be all right after a spell. It's just hard to understand, that's all. I have to think about it a while. Sit down and think about it.
Yes, sir. Here we are. I'll get the door. Go ahead, man.
Yeah.
It's right there on the floor, officer. It's where I found her when I woke up. Right there by the bed. Where have they taken her?
Downtown, Mr. Turner, to the county morgue.
Oh. They'll let me see her, won't they?
Yes, sir, they will. Do you feel up to answering a few questions for us now?
All right. I'll tell you everything I know about it. I don't see how it's going to help anything.
We'll try to make it as brief as possible, sir. Now, your wife's full name is Gertrude Agnes Turner, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Her age?
Let's see, Gertrude 63. Yeah, that's it. I'm 4 years older than her. That's how I always tell.
Was your wife in good health, Mr. Turner? Under a doctor's care or anything like that?
No. Nothing wrong with her I know of.
Heart trouble? Anything like that?
No, sir. She used to have headaches every now and then. Doctor friend of ours back home used to send pills for her to take. That's about all.
How was your wife feeling last night? Was she all right then?
Just fine. When I woke up, I put my arm over on her pillow. She wasn't there. Then I got up and saw her laying on the floor, right by the bed. Gertrude. She was ice cold. There was a little bruise up here on her forehead. I thought I was dreaming. She was dead. We weren't even married a year.
You want to go on, sir? You think you feel all right?
It's all right, officer. I got a little bit of brandy in that cupboard over there. Think I could use some if you two officers don't mind?
That's perfectly all right, sir.
Yeah, I'll get it, Mr. Turner.
We had it all figured out Tuesday, November 16th. That's her name's day.
How's that?
November 16th. It's my wife's name's day. You see, Gertrude's a German girl. A lot of German people don't celebrate their birthday. They celebrate their name's day instead. Next Tuesday's St. Gertrude's Day.
Oh, I see.
There you are, Mr. Turner.
Thank you. Either one of you officers care for some brandy? You're certainly welcome to it.
No, thank you very much.
Do you or your wife have many friends in town, Mr. Turner?
No, just a few. Around the hotel here. Gertrude and I have only been in California a few months. Come out from Indiana, Fort Wayne.
Yes, sir. No relatives here?
No, sir. Wife only had one relative living, sister. She's back in Indiana.
How did you and your wife get along, all right?
Oh, fine. We never had any trouble. I loved her, officer.
Did your wife have any enemies that you know of, sir? People she didn't get along with? Somebody who might have wanted to hurt her?
Well, I can't think of anyone.
Well, how about some of the men your wife knew before she married you, Mr. Turner? Any bad feelings one of them might have had toward your wife?
No, sir, not that I know of. Besides, all her old friends are still back there in Indiana.
Mm-hmm. You say your marriage was working out pretty well. Your wife didn't have any gentleman friends that she might have been interested in?
No, sir, I know that for the truth. Gertrude spent her time at home. She didn't run around. She was a good wife.
Would you know if your wife had any reason at all to take her own life, maybe?
Well, that's the last thing in the world Gertrude to do. No reason for it. We had too many things to look forward to. Lots of things. You don't stop living just because you pass 65.
Yes, sir.
Tell me the truth, officer. Don't you really know what happened to her?
No, sir, no more than you do. Afraid we'll have to wait for that coroner's report.
I don't understand it, officer. How am I supposed to understand it?
Sir?
I went to bed last night and I had a wife.
Yes, sir.
Today's my day off. We're going to take a car ride down the beach. That's the dress she was going to wear hanging up there. Gertrude made it herself. She was going to wear it today.
I'll try to take it easy, Mr. Turner.
I beg your pardon. She's all I had. Why should she have to die? She didn't have to die, did she?
I don't know, sir. Maybe she didn't have a choice. The body of the dead woman, Mrs. Gertrude Agnes Turner, was removed to the county morgue for autopsy. Ben and I filled out the 311 form, the dead body report, and filed it, pending the outcome of the autopsy. A couple of Mr. Turner's friends who lived upstairs from him at the Blackwell Hotel agreed to look after the old man until he got over the shock of his wife's sudden death. 7:45 the next morning, I checked in for work as usual.
Morning, Joe.
Morning. What do you know?
Not much. Pretty slow.
How about the Turner woman? No word in the autopsy, huh?
No, coroner hasn't called yet. Have you got any smokes? I left the house in a hurry this morning. Forgot everything.
Yeah. Right here.
Oh, thanks.
Here.
Thanks. Lousy morning. Another row with the wife.
Oh? What's the matter?
Oh, another one of those church bazaars she got herself mixed up in. She's calling on me for help again.
Oh, yeah? What she wants you to do now?
Remember the last time, don't you? That spring bazaar? Had me working on decorations down the church 7 nights a week. 18 women running around telling you what to do.
Yeah.
It's like a madhouse, Joe. This time it's even worse.
How do you mean?
This time the ladies figure they ought to have a little more production. They want me to dress up in some kind of a funny costume, auction off pies and cake. You know, stovepipe hat, false mustache at work.
No? You turned them down, huh? You won't do it, will you?
Well, not exactly. Wife kicked up such a row, I guess I'll end up doing it. Got an idea, though. Wouldn't be so bad if I had somebody to work with me. You wouldn't like to help me out, would you, Joe?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to be a little busy, Ben, but if I get a chance, I'll drop out to see you, though. I'll get it.
Yeah.
Homicide Friday. Oh, yeah. How's that? All right. Yeah. Okay, we'll be right over. Was Dr. Cephalou over at the morgue about Miss Turner?
Got the autopsy report for us?
Yeah, they won't sign the death certificate.
What's the trouble?
A couple of things. Looks too suspicious for him, they said.
How'd they list the cause of death?
She suffocated. 8:15 a.m. We went across the street and talked with Dr. Cephalou. All he could tell us was that Gertrude Turner had suffered severe convulsions and that she'd died of suffocation. There was a small bruise in her forehead and numerous other small bruises around the base of the throat. Not enough to say that the woman had been murdered, and yet too much to dismiss the case as an accidental death. Together with Lorman and Barrett from Homicide, Ben and I looked up some of the friends of Mr. and Mrs. Turner. We found 2 points which didn't check out with the story that Mr. Turner had told us. According to the friends, Turner had had some violent arguments with his wife. On at least one occasion he'd struck her. And secondly, the dead woman did have a gentleman friend in the neighborhood, but his conduct with her had been above question. It was strictly friendship. We decided to take it from there. We went back to the Blackwell Hotel and found Mr. Turner in his room. He was wrapping up some of his wife's personal effects and packing them in corrugated boxes. We told him about the coroner's report.
I don't think I believe that, Sergeant. People just don't suffocate. There's got to be a reason for it.
Yes, sir. That's what we're looking for.
Well, don't they know? Can't they tell you how it happened to the doctors?
Well, she had severe convulsions. She suffocated. That's just all they could tell us.
Well, the bruise on her head, Gertrude's forehead. What'd they say about that?
Well, that wasn't the cause of death, Mr. Turner. She could have gotten a bump when she fell out of bed. It might have been that. It might not.
I just don't understand. You'd think there'd be some way of telling.
Well, we were around talking to some of your friends in the neighborhood this morning, friends of you and your wife.
Yeah. Oh, they've been real friends, officers. Every one of them. Been up to see me, brought me meals and things. Say, isn't that a pretty thing? Just look at that.
Yes, sir.
Real born china. A cup and a saucer. Gertrude used to collect them. Had all kinds. Pretty.
Yes, sir. When we were talking to you yesterday, sir, you told us that you and your wife got along pretty well. No arguments?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Well, now, some of your friends tell us that you used to argue with your wife quite a bit.
Who told you that?
Some of your friends here in the neighborhood. Is that true?
Well, when we first got married, Gertrude and I guess we had a few spats. No different than other people. Getting used to each other, things like that, you know.
Well, did you ever strike your wife, Mr. Turner?
Why do you ask that?
Routine question. Did you ever strike your wife, Mr. Turner?
Yes. One of the first arguments we had. I don't even remember what it was about. That's how important it was. I lost my temper, I guess. I kind of slapped her. Oh, I felt like a no-good bum. Never once happened again. Slapping Gertrude. It's hard to remember right now.
Well, we asked you the same question yesterday, sir. Couldn't you have told us that then?
Oh, I'm sorry, officer. I guess I missed it. I wasn't feeling too good. I think you know what I mean.
But you remember us asking if your wife had any gentleman friends?
Yes, I remember that.
Well, now, is it true?
Well, there's one fella, name's Clyde Warren. Runs a drugstore down the street. I guess Gertrude knew him better than anybody, but he was my friend, too.
Well, did you ever complain to this Clyde Warren that he was spending too much time around your wife, that he ought to see less of her?
I think I did maybe once or twice. It was kind of in a fooling way. Certainly didn't mean it. Clyde Warren's one of my best friends.
Well, did you ever complain to your wife that she was seeing too much Warren?
No, sir, never even mentioned it. Why ask me all these things?
Well, your wife's dead, Mr. Turner, and we still haven't found out why.
But you ask me questions like I had something to do with it.
You were the last one to see her alive, sir. You were alone with her in this room the night she died.
You think I killed Gertrude? Is that it? You think I killed my own wife?
No, sir, we didn't say anyone killed her.
You think I killed my own wife? You think I killed her?
Well, did you kill her, Mr. Turner?
You know I didn't kill Gertrude. You know I didn't do that.
I'm sorry, sir. There's not much else we can do now.
What do you mean?
The coroner found a series of bruises on the body, right around here, base of the neck. We know she died of suffocation. The two things seem to fit pretty well.
I don't know what you mean. I didn't see any bruises, not on her neck. I don't know what you mean.
We'll have to take you downtown, sir. You can call your lawyer now if you like.
I don't have a lawyer. Why are you taking me downtown?
No alternative. We're going to have to book you.
How's that?
Suspicion of murder. 10:25 a.m. Before we booked him at the main jail, Mr. Turner asked us if we'd get off a telegram to his sister-in-law, Mrs. Helen Raymond, in Fort Wayne, Indiana, informing her of what had happened. We told him we would, and we did. We booked him in on suspicion of 187 PC, and then we checked back in at the office. We put in a call to the insurance company that held a policy on Mrs. Turner.
Yes, sir. Gertrude Agnes Turner. What was that? All right. Right. Thank you, sir. Goodbye.
What'd they have to say?
Mrs. Turner had 3 different policies on her life, total of $5,000. Mr. Turner's a beneficiary on all 3.
Oh, that'll do for a motive.
And something else here.
Yeah.
Newest policy is for $1,000, industrial policy.
When was it taken out?
3 weeks ago.
You are in the Scientific Investigation Division of the Metropolitan Police Department, the ballistics room.
You have just heard a test bullet fired from a .38 caliber revolver found in the possession of a suspect.
The test slug is removed from the ballistics box and compared with the slug found at the scene of the crime.
There they are. Side by side, they look alike, but examination will prove a world of difference. You'll find the same is true when you compare king-size cigarettes.
Fatima's are the same length as any other king-size cigarette, 85 millimeters. Fatima has the same circumference, 1 1/64 inches around.
And Fatima filters the smoke exactly the same long distance as other king-size cigarettes.
But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Fatima gives you extra mildness, a much different, much better flavor and aroma. You get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
So compare Fatima yourself. Your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
Monday, November 15th, 10 a.m. The investigation went on. We failed to uncover any additional evidence against the suspect, Mr. Turner. We had 3 main points against the man. The recently issued insurance policy on his wife for $1,000, the fact that he had fought with his wife and struck her on several occasions, and the series of bruises which had been discovered at the base of the dead woman's neck. Well, as it stood, we weren't too sure that the case would hold up in court. Ben was less sure that the old man was actually responsible for the death of his wife. We figured if Turner was guilty, we might try to impress him with the evidence against him and attempt to get a confession. Monday, 1 p.m., we went over to the main jail to interrogate the suspect. You want to step aside there? They want to lock that door.
Oh, yes.
This way, Mr. Turner. I'll get the light switch.
Right in here, Mr. Turner.
Mr. Turner, you'd like to sit down?
All right. Thank you. Why'd you come to see me? Have you found out something?
We've been checking a little bit further into the case, Mr. Turner. We got a few more questions for you, if you don't mind.
Did you send the message to my sister-in-law, Mrs. Raymond, the one I asked you to send?
Yes, sir. We took care of it.
You got the address right, didn't you? Fort Wayne, Indiana?
That's right. Just sent a telegram, told her all about it.
That was 2 days ago. She should have gotten it by now. I haven't heard a word from her. Are you sure she got the telegram all right?
Pretty sure. We'll check on it when we get back to the office.
A few things we got here that you might like to know about, sir. Maybe you can help clear them up for us.
What's that, officer?
We understand that your wife Gertrude had some insurance on herself. $5,000 worth?
Yes, that's right. Something you want to know about it?
Well, she named you as the beneficiary in each of her policies, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Gertrude was a great believer in insurance. Don't hold with it too much myself. She used to tell me all the time.
Yes, sir?
In case she died first, she wanted me to have a little something for old age. Something to retire on and get a little ranch out in the valley.
I understand she took out a policy just lately, $1,000 about 3 weeks ago.
I know about it. I didn't want her to do it. Clean waste of money, I told her. Payments are pretty steep.
Well, sir, is there anybody who can back that up? That you told your wife you didn't want her to take out that policy?
No, I don't think so. We didn't talk about our business with other people.
Yeah.
Friday, hello.
Yeah, what is it?
Phone call says it's important. Either one of you.
You want to get it, Ben?
You okay?
You can take it out the desk here.
All right, thanks.
I think I know what you mean. The insurance. You think that's why I killed Gertrude, isn't that right?
Well, sir, put yourself in our place, Mr. Turner. What would you think?
You know in your heart I didn't kill my wife. You know that in your heart.
Well, they don't pay us for what we believe, Turner. They pay us to get the facts, to run down evidence. Doesn't make any difference what I believe.
But you know I didn't kill her. You know that, don't you?
Well, sir, I know we asked you if you ever argued with your wife, and you told us no. We found out you beat her up a couple of times. We asked you if she was friendly with any of the men in the neighborhood. You told us no. We found one. We asked you about the bruises the coroner found on her neck. You don't know. You can't explain them. We asked you if your wife had been ill, if she had any sickness, to explain her dying the way she did, and you said no. We asked you about the insurance. You can't explain that either. 3 weeks before she dies, she takes out $1,000 on her life. She dies in the same room with you, and you don't know how or why. Now, you tell me, mister, what are we supposed to believe?
I didn't kill her. Somebody has to believe it. Somebody. I didn't kill her.
Joe, see you a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
That phone call, it was long distance. Turner's sister-in-law, Mrs. Raymond.
What she want?
Calling from Fort Wayne. She's flying out here tonight. Seemed pretty wrought up.
About her sister, huh?
Mostly about Mr. Turner. She claims he's innocent. Seems pretty sure of it.
She can prove that Turner didn't kill his wife?
That's what she said. She's bringing the proof with her.
Tuesday, November 16th. Turner's sister-in-law, Mrs. Raymond, was scheduled to arrive at 6 p.m. by plane from Indiana. At 2 p.m., one of the main points in the case against the suspect was proven false. A woman friend of Mrs. Turner, after reading of the husband's arrest in the paper, informed us that while Mrs. Turner was visiting her home a few days before she died, she complained of a severe headache. The woman's son, who was studying to be a chiropractor, attempted to treat Mrs. Turner's headache by manipulating the muscles in her neck and shoulders. The woman said that Mrs. Turner called the next day and complained about receiving bruises on her neck as a result of her son's experimental treatment. The son came down to the office and signed a full statement to this effect. At 7 p.m., Mr. Turner's sister-in-law arrived. With her was a Dr. John Grant, a Fort Wayne physician. The two of them told us their story and gave us all the information they had concerning the case. Ben and I went immediately to the main jail, picked up Mr. Turner, and brought him back to the office. His sister-in-law and Dr. Grant waited in the adjoining room.
Why'd you bring me here? You gonna ask me more questions? I told you everything.
No, sir. No more questions.
You can't take me off to prison. I haven't had a trial yet.
No, sir, you're not going to have a trial, Mr. Turner. We're releasing you.
How's that?
Your sister-in-law, Ms. Raymond, she's in the next room with her doctor. They're going to take you home, sir.
I don't think I understand, officer. How do you mean?
Your sister-in-law just got in from Fort Wayne tonight, and she has her family doctor with her. They told us about your wife, Gertrude. Everything we had to know.
About Gertrude? My wife? Well, what do you mean, officer?
Well, maybe you can understand, sir. Your wife was afraid to let you know. She told her sister she was afraid it might break up her marriage.
Afraid to tell me what?
Well, your wife suffered from epilepsy. She had it most of her life.
She had epilepsy?
Yes, sir, she did. And this Dr. Grant showed us that he's been sending your wife medicine ever since you moved out here to California. He treated her many times for the same thing before you met her. She figured it might ruin her chances of marrying you, so she kept it a secret.
The medicine. I remember that. used to come through the mail.
And that's it, sir. Counts for the headache she had the night before she died. She probably had an attack during the night, suffocated. That's how you found her in the morning.
Well, why didn't they know? The coroner, they examined her.
Well, sir, that's just the point. If you die of epilepsy, there's just no way of telling, not even by autopsy. Convulsions and suffocation. That's the only way they can list it.
And she was ashamed. Gertrude. She was afraid to tell me.
Yes, sir, that's what she wrote to your sister-in-law. We saw the letters.
And I can leave now if I want to? Is it all right?
We'll get you things from the property clerk first, and then you can go.
Can I see Helen now, my sister-in-law? I'd like to say hello.
Yes, sir, you can. It's right through that door there.
Well, thank you kindly.
It's all right.
Officer.
Yes.
Just one thing I'd like to ask.
Yes.
You knew all the time, didn't you? I mean in your own heart.
How's that?
I couldn't have killed Gertrude. In your own heart, you knew that, didn't you? Officer?
Yes, sir, I know it.
I thought you did. I'll be right back.
Joe?
Huh?
I wouldn't worry about it.
What's that?
We'll call it a white lie.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 16th, a meeting was held in the office of Blaine Steed, captain of Homicide. In a moment, the results of that meeting.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, the makers of Fatima do everything possible to produce the king-size cigarette that you want, just as we on Dragnet try to bring you the kind of entertainment that you want. Well, in our honest opinion, Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. And I know from reading our Dragnet mail that more and more of you back me up on that. If you haven't tried Fatimas yet, may I suggest you buy a pack? You'll find Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. Remember, tomorrow, first chance you get, buy Fatima.
The death of Gertrude Agnes Turner was proved beyond a doubt to be due to natural causes. A 9.10 report was made which completely exonerated the husband of the dead woman. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Thank you for listening to HOJO Radio. We'll be back again very soon.